Hello there, listener. Just this little intro here to let you guys know that we had some technical difficulties while recording this episode. Nothing to fear, all the content's here. You're just going to hear some quality changes in there. If things sound a little weird, don't worry, it's not your laptop or phone or wherever you're listening. Enjoy.
So, here we go. With childish frustrations and complexes, the police are searching for James Thomas, believed
Hello. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. This is a show where we talk about cult cinema, lesser known films, just kind of horror genre, sci-fi, the kind of fun movies, the exact kind of movies we're talking about today. And my name is LC. I'm the host, and I'm here with my good buddy Jack from college. Say hi, Jack.
Hey.
Jack Collin. This is the first time we've talked in literally years. It's so nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it's this or the Oscars, or the Oscars watch parties.
Exactly, the Oscar Watch Parties, which I did not do one this year because this year I did not host a virtual Oscar party because the year previous just went, in my opinion, it just was not fun.
Yeah.
It was really just because a few people in the call were one second, I need to play my tunes. My tunes are gone.
Oh no.
I need my purse. Oh, no shit, the tunes are gone because I was playing the thing. It's too loud. Okay, but yeah, no. The previous year, there were some people, like 3 people in that call, who were watching the Oscars on on a quote unquote real streaming service because we were watching it on a not super legal stream, and we were like 30 seconds delayed. And even though they said they weren't going to say who won, you could tell because we heard their reactions. You heard them go, "Oh, obviously."
I
they
do
won."
remember that. Yeah.
Like you hear them go like, "Oh, well, no shit." Like, damn, it was up, and you could put it together. And so I'm like, I ended up muting them, and it's like, what's the point? And plus, I had some friends here in Columbus that who had expressed interest in watching the Oscar with me. So I'm like, I can just do a local thing here. But I don't know. That's something that maybe I'll do in the future again, or like do some kind of hybrid thing. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's Jack's another big movie nerd, like me and all of us who listen here. And yeah, we're talking about 2 movies today. We're talking about Arrival, which is a 2016 science fiction drama film directed by Denis Villeneuve, and The Arrival, no relation at all aside from similarity in name, a 1996 science fiction thriller film directed by David Toy.
I think it's I think it's Toy. Yeah.
Toy, yeah, who is best known for directing the Chronicles of the Riddick films.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh man.
Yeah, so Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and Riddick, which I find really funny personally.
He didn't direct the sequel to this movie, did he?
He did not. No, it's the sequel to this movie was like basically like a direct-to-video. Wait, no, that's the video game page, which I really want to play the video game, and I really want to see the sequel, even though apparently the sequel's shit.
Yeah, it's like a straight to TV. I did nothing more than just like notice there was a sequel and like tuned in. Just wait a minute. There's no way that ended so perfectly.
And be like, what? Yeah, no, it really did end on like the perfect little cap. But yeah, no, and these movies are basically the same. You know, hot scientists trying to talk to aliens. I mean, that's basically the plot.
I literally have no idea how to talk about The Arrival until we get to it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I definitely got a lot to say about The Arrival as well. You had not seen The Arrival before I told you about it, right?
No, I had not.
Or heard
I
about
didn't.
it.
I didn't even know about its existence, quite frankly. And as soon as I saw the thumbnail on the trailer was, we'll get to Charlie Sheen's looks, but it was certainly one of his looks. It was. I'm not gonna. We'll hold off a little bit until we get to it, but
yeah, we'll talk more about The Arrival later. But first, let's talk about Arrival, directed by Denis Villeneuve. It's a movie that I've referenced a lot on the pod. I feel like mostly just because ever since the Dune episode, me and Joseph will talk about Dune and Denis Villeneuve and his direction, and I always bring up Arrival because it's my favorite movie of his. So I guess what I want to ask you with Arrival is, Jack, what is your history with it? What's your history with Denis Villeneuve? I forget. Did we watch this together for the first time? Was that?
I think we did. I think this was one of the first ones when we would drive out to. Was 2016?
2016.
Yeah, so this was probably right around the Oscar time. This is like when I think we took the bus to Was it Colony? The Colony Mall?
We were trying to
get
see
up
Don't
on the-
Breathe. We were trying to see Don't Breathe when we took the bus.
That's it. Yeah.
what we
But
were
this
trying
was
to
right
say.
around the time because that was right around the
Or
start
like,
of really digging into the Oscar, like a first wing of Oscar movies, because we started off just with not necessarily schlock, but The Last Starfighter, and actually the other movie I was going to ask you about maybe doing is Attack the Block, because that movie was
we need to do an Attack.
awesome.
Fuck yeah, I love Attack the Block. That's actually one of my favorite movies on Letterboxd. So that's yeah, fucking. Why haven't I thought about doing an Attack the Block episode? Goddamn. I want to do a whole segment of just hood sci-fi, like Attack the Block, and you ever heard of the movie Slight?
I've not, no.
Is this movie about this kid who like he's selling drugs, like he was like an MIT engineer, but he had to drop out because his mom died and became the legal guardian of his sister. But he's like a genius, and he sells drugs to make money, but he also does like street magic, and he like did some Iron Man shit, like, and installed like this like super magnet thing all up his arm, so he basically has like Magneto powers, and he uses it to do magic on the streets. And at the end, he goes full superhero, and the movie's pretty cool. That would be a really good pairing with Attack the Block, honestly, as far as like literally what I said. I feel like that movie, Slight, are kind of like precursors to like Jordan Peele and kind of like him bringing people of color into those kind of film genres. Because I feel like before Jordan Peele, there was just almost zero representation of like seeing people of color in those type of movies. And there were a few exceptions before that, like Attack the Block and Slight, and I'm sure I can think of others, but yeah.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned Jordan Peele. I was actually just thinking about rewatching Nope. Nope is probably my favorite of his.
Nope is so good.
Oh man, it's just it's truly like people always talk about the comparison like the Twilight Zone, but that one's definitely a lot more like not necessarily, I don't know if it's like grand sci-fi, but it's his most out there, at least from how I feel, at least about it thematically and stylistically.
It's his weirdest. It's his yeah. You said out there in terms of like it's the largest in concept, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's
better put, well put, yeah.
I love Nope. Get Out for me personally. Get Out for me, I prefer it a little bit, or I think it's stronger. But a part of that is because Get Out's a lot simpler of a movie. It's like it's a smaller scale, it's a smaller story, and it's way more pointed. Whereas like Nope, like it is like a broader thing, and there's a lot more to read in with Nope. You know what I mean? Whereas like Get Out, like once everything's revealed in Get Out, like it's kind of like, okay, you get everything you need to know. There isn't as much discussion with like theories and shit with Get Out as you can with Nope. You know, which I don't think makes either movie better or worse. I just think that like Get Out is just a better unit as like a tight film.
Absolutely. You know? And they're also different too, and also even Us, like I love all of his movies. I think they're all great. But they are very, very different.
They are really different. Yeah, Us is really. I need to rewatch Us. I've kind of wanted to do like a Jordan Peele-a-thon, because to me, that's always it's the one I have like felt the least need to rewatch. Like I guess it hit me the least. You know what I mean? But yeah. But back to Arrival, real quick. So yeah, so we saw it in college. I remember distinctly seeing it in we had UPEC Cinema, like we had like a student run theater movie club type situation, and we were showing it one weekend at UPEC Cinema, and I saw it with a buddy of mine who will remain nameless, and he hated it, and really? I was offended. I was like, you have no taste, sir.
Interesting.
But yeah. So I guess we can start tell me, before we break into the plot of the movies, like tell me your history specifically with like Denis Villeneuve, like where this ranks amongst his movies, like what do you think about his films and like his current, filmmaking, his impact on filmmaking right now?
Yeah, sure. So it's actually funny you mentioned the UPAC screening. I actually have the UPAC poster of Arrival. It's the only poster that it was all folded up and shit. I forget if that's how I got it from you or how I got it, but it's the only movie poster that's still taped up in my room. I didn't even give it the dignity of framing it because I was like a poor 21-year-old at the start of COVID, but it's there.
Crazy.
Yeah, I so yeah, with Arrival, I remember this is probably my first time seeing it since I was either at the UPEX screening or might have just been like the first time since maybe I got it on Blu-ray. But this one, I we were talking about this yesterday or the day before. This one is probably sitting at my number one from him. It's interesting because like my three favorites that kind of rotate around, like it's Prisoners, then this, then Blade Runner. Once again, kind of like we were talking with about with Jordan Peele. They're all just so different and it's interesting how he's able to maintain like a uniquely like Denis tone. But it's all just all like obviously your science fiction, in my opinion, is what he's best at. But you can make the argument that Prisoners is his best by a long shot. And you have an and he didn't even write the movie. Wow, that's
Yeah, got the Wikipedia page up, folks. For people, anybody who wants to make a movie podcast, Wikipedia is a really useful tool. But yeah, didn't even write this one. He wrote the new Dune, so but that's an adaptation, so
yeah.
that's its own beast.
Yeah, but no, I haven't. Admittedly, I haven't seen some of his earlier ones, and I know Insandi is the one that everybody's like. This was the one that kind of kicked off. Like, it really hit the festival circuit super hard. I don't really know enough about Polytechnique to speak of it, but all of his movies. Actually, have I even seen Enemy? I might not have seen Enemy since it came out. Have you seen Enemy? Or
I've seen Enemy only once, and I wasn't super huge on it, but it was a while ago, and like I'd probably have a very different take on it now. Like yeah, no, my tastes have kind of changed a lot. But yeah, no, Sicario. I remember really liking Sicario, but that's one I definitely need to revisit. Blade Runner 2049, constantly classic. I rewatched that relatively recently, and it's just so good.
I think that one we did see together.
You, me, and my old roommate James. I remember us going to see that, and I remember James commenting on like I was surprised by how sexy that movie was.
Oh, dude, oh man, Ryan Gosling in a big leather jacket, Harrison Ford looking sad. Oh
yeah, everyone just manly. The sadder the better. Now there's a Ken right there.
Hell yeah.
but fucking yeah, no, 2049. It's funny. I mentioned it before in the pod, but like I prefer 2049 to the original Blade Runner.
I agree. Honestly. I'm right there
Honestly.
with you.
Hot take, and I don't necessarily blame that. I don't blame it on Ridley Scott necessarily. There was a lot that was against him with that movie, but yeah. But anyway, so with Arrival, before getting to the plot, before I forget, we should talk about what tea we're drinking.
Yes.
I'm drinking. So people out there, make yourself a nice cup of tea. We're looking for tea sponsorships. I'm drinking Yogi Positive Energy Tangerine.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's a really good kind of tea. It's light on caffeine. It's a green tea. It smells really good. It's a great aroma.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm currently drinking. It's called Vancouver Waterfront from the Granville Island Tea Company. We my girlfriend and I we took a little Pacific Northwest vacation, and we spent a few days in Vancouver. And this one smelt the prettiest, and I'm on a little bit of a caffeine-free binge right now. So yeah, it appealed, and it knocks me out. I love tea for that reason. If it's a long day, that's the thing that gets me going. It's better than melatonin. It's sweet.
Yeah, a nice like herbal tea, caffeine-free tea at the end of the day is definitely does hit like that. As far as like I've been drinking a lot more caffeine lately, but coffee is the only caffeine I really don't do. As far as like I'll drink hot tea. I drink yerba mate. The Guayki, the yellow can yerba mate. I fucking love those. Celsius I've been kicking, but coffee just gives me the shits and gives me headaches. But yeah, no, you did out tea me. Well done. Yeah, we got to get some more tea. But you know what's funny? We started this podcast in the winter. So like the hot tea was like a really nice like cozy vibe where it was snowy outside when we record. But now that it's like getting into real summer vibes, it's like maybe we want some iced tea or something.
Dude, it's like 83 degrees in DC, and I think my air conditioning's off because I'm already sweaty. So I'm gonna blame the hot tea.
Damn, that sucks. Yeah, no, we actually had a relatively cool day today. I think it's like low 70s. But it's been fucking hot beforehand. But yeah, let's get into the plot of Arrival. So basically Arrival starts off, and we're introduced to Amy Adams, who is a professor at, did they say what university?
I don't think so.
Yeah, well, I think it's like, they mentioned Berkeley, but that's not the college she works at. The point is, we get introduced to her in this opening where we see that, and at the time, what we think is flashbacks to her and seemingly her daughter. Like her sick daughter, and it kind of switches between that and like her getting to work. And then she's trying to teach her students, and all the students all their phones go off at the same time, and everyone's freaking out. It's that kind of classic moment where they're all like, hey teacher, can you put the TV on? And she puts on the TV, and pretty soon we're shown all the kind of like apocalypse movie kind of newscasts of all the like apocalypse movie like newscast things of like, oh, aliens are here, we're fucked.
But it's actually great you bring that up because it's not really shown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's like half, like you see people's reactions and and they don't really show you the ship that much during these sequences too. But like, what do you think of the opening of this movie?
Oh, I think the opening's great. I guess we'll get a little bit more into spoilers a little later on, but it just
spoil it right away right now. This movie is 8 years old.
Great. Well, then the reveal, of course, of just the timeline, like the I guess the dishonest timeline at the start of the movie, leading you to believe that you're walking into the tragedy of this character, but it's just the life that ends up happening after the events of the film, which in a weird way, I'll talk about this a little later, like simultaneously like a very human, like weirdly empathetic story, but also a tragedy. But the reveal that the daughter is not dead at the start but has the illness at the end of the movie is really something, and it's very effective with the context. I love it. And that shot of her walking down that circular corridor, oh my god, it's breathtaking, and it adds so much more later on once you start to learn about the language of Abbott and Costello.
Once you start learning space Spanish and all that. But yeah, no, yeah, that whole thing, I remember it the second time I watched this, or the first time I watched it, like I remember feeling kind of bad, and that like, oh, you're starting off with like kid cancer, and that like just already coming into such a negative vibe. But upon repeat viewings, for some reason, this might be messed up of me, it makes it a little bit easier to get through the opening for me, knowing that like, okay, this is gonna happen later, like knowing that this character doesn't have that trauma at the opening. For some reason, it makes it easier for me to like kind of appreciate more of the immediate of what's going on, like because for me personally, the strength of this movie lies in the mechanics of what's going on rather than the characters. Like I don't think, for me personally, I don't think the characters of this movie are particularly strong, but I think that like the writing and the performances really make it like make what's given the characters like rise above it.
The performances, absolutely, yeah.
The performances and like all of the actual questions and conversations about like how we communicate and like what is language and stuff is like where like a lot of the strength of it lies for me. But yeah, no, we'll get to, and like we were saying, the fact that you don't even really, the closest I was rewatching the movie today. I started rewatching it yesterday. I finished it today. In this opening, I love that like the closest you get of a look at the ship is like on one of the TV newscasts you see on Amy Adams' TV.
Yeah.
It's nighttime in some foreign country, and you see like a light, like a helicopter light, a spotlight just shining across like one panel of the ship, and you don't get a full view. And I'm a big fan of that kind of like lo-fi, like it makes it feel more real,
Yeah.
Because I feel like if this happened in reality, like if this happened like in the world where like if just one spaceship like landed somewhere, we would all see it on the news or on TikTok or like in some kind of like lo-fi like newscasty way like that, versus seeing it in person, in like a super cinematic way.
Yeah, so it feels unironically like uncinematic, or yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. It actually, I don't know why it's making me think of this. It's the scene isn't necessarily built for horror, but it kind of makes me think about the famous scene in Signs where you see the alien on the Mexican newscast type of deal. When it walks by and it's like, it's behind, and then the snake. But similar energy, similar technique.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Amy Adams is watching on the news, and then Forrest Whitaker breaks into her fucking house.
Who's great in this movie, by the way. I was going to talk about his performance a little bit. Yeah. Very understated performance. Like every scene he's in, there's like this hint of desperation, but like there's like this struggle to still understand, which like thematically ties in as well. And it's a very, very strong performance by him. I love Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, he's still a big lung head, but I feel like at the end of the day, you feel like he's more on Amy Adams' side than a lot of other people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like he respects her intelligence, but he always has to come from like the meathead point of view. Versus like someone like Michael Stuhlbarg's character who pissed me the fuck off in this movie.
Yeah, I that's one of my problems with the movie. We'll talk about that a little later.
Oh, probably. All right. Yeah. I mean, I thought his character was a good foil. Like I feel like the closest thing this movie has to a villain.
Yeah, it's my thing about the it's just some part of it's just become this is some of my issues with some of the characters that are played up to be the foils. It's a great performance, and a lot of like the scenes that he's in thematically makes a lot of sense. It was like obviously like the Sanskrit word for war for like the desire for more cows, like early miscommunication scene, but like the next scene afterwards when they're in front of their first big teams call, and it's about like the atmosphere within the room. And he interprets that as, oh well, so they can suffocate us at any point. And in that scene it's great, but I feel like there's like a point where, like, granted he's just supposed to be played up as that foil, but there's like a logic lapse towards the end of the movie. Like there are just some things that happen which I personally am just like there's got to be some control there. But then again, it's a part of the theme of the movie that they're like the communication issues of that character, and like pretty much just the lack of listening leads to these issues. But it took me out a little bit. It's still an awesome performance. I love Michael Stuhlbarg, but
oh yeah, no, he's great, and just I feel like overall he's just always jumping to the worst conclusion, you know. But at the end of the day, I feel like with that character, it's like, well, it's his job to like hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
I agree. That definitely
I feel like is the perspective of like a lot of the military characters, and like it's the same thing with like Forrest Whitaker, as far as like his character wants things to go well, but it's like he has to be prepared for the worst case scenario, you know. But yeah, and speaking of real quick before we move on to the next scene, I just want to talk about I love how I'm a big fan of drip feeding your creatures and like drip feeding your like the fantastical elements of your story, and like the fact that you hear the creatures on a shitty tape recorder.
Oh my god, yeah, that scene is awesome.
You know, and he doesn't even say what it is, but you just know by Amy Adams' face when you just hear the whale sound gurgles, and she's like, "Is that?" Like, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah, tell me what he's saying.
You know, and I'll translate it. And I'll do it. And I remember, even from the first time I saw this scene, I'm like, are you fucking for real? Like, she's going to have no context under, like, I feel like, it's not something that makes me mad, but it is a thing where it's like, it's so unrealistic to expect her to be able to just Google Translate like that.
But I do say it, like, her response to that, actually, I think is really, really great and really, like, welcome. Like, it really matches the character. She immediately starts asking questions instead of just being like, oh, what a monster, what a horrible... I mean, of course, there was the apprehension at first, but then she's like, well, if I'm gonna translate, I need to be in the same room, I need to see body language, I need to know what it looks like. Like, it's really clever, the way that... Like, her reactions throughout the whole movie, or the way she processes problems, like, it makes her... In my opinion, her character just so much stronger. And I know there's a little bit of a tangent from the drip feeding of the monsters, but
oh yeah, no, you're good. I agree with you on that. Like her, but yeah, no, it just shows like how she's the best scientist in this movie. You know, like needing to really understand that like what's going on here is way bigger than just a military thing. Like there is more to understand than just like, are they going to blow us up with their space guns, you know?
Right.
Like that, like there's bigger things that need to be dealt with, and how even in scenes where she is like later on, like when she takes off her hazmat suit for the first time, you can tell she's scared and she's intimidated, but she still like knows that she does what needs to be done, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, no, and then basically Forrest Whitaker is like, no, we can't do that, and tells her like, okay, we're gonna move on to the number two pick, which this is when they mentioned Berkeley, like some other linguist at Berkeley. I didn't even think we mentioned that she was a linguist, but like, yeah, her character is a linguist, studies languages. Real quick, I just want to say, every time I rewatch this movie, I just think to myself, God damn, I have to take the time to really learn another language. Like, I feel like this movie makes me feel like such a dumb fucking American.
My favorite part about being in high school was believing that Latin would help me with my SATs, and I still did like fine on my SATs.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I could have I took like I don't know how many years of Italian, and this, like, even though I wouldn't be using it super frequently, it would just I'd be so much more cultured, you know? I would,
Yeah. I took French all throughout high school, and I didn't. None of it stuck. None of it clicked. I don't know how I got straight A's in that class because like I hated my teacher, Madame Tatou. She was just the fucking worst. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, and you know, we'll get into it. Just the way that like the idea of the fact that like, yeah, because so many different languages work so differently, and it makes you think about things so different. Like even something I was explaining to somebody about French, or like or French and Spanish both, like in French, it's like for example, the like god damn it, like dog is chien, I think in French. Like you go le chien like black or whatever. Like you'd go the dog that is black, as opposed to in English you'd be like, oh, that black dog.
Yeah.
You know? Just as far as like, oh yeah, it is the more important information, like what the thing is, and then we get into descriptors, is like that's how things are described in that language, but in English it's the exact opposite. You know, and just even that basic thing would make you think differently about how you like, you know, approach things in the world.
That's actually a super interesting point, and that kind of lends itself into the movie too, just like having the description prior to the thing. And I mean, you have to think about even that scene that we talked about where you just the description of the Abbott and Costello. I don't want to call monsters Abbott and Costello, isn't about anything about what they are. It's the sound, and they sound like a horrible monster.
Yeah.
And then
I was just gonna call them aliens or the thing, but yeah. But sorry, go on, continue. The sound.
Brain work. What were your sound?
You're
sorry, I'm at this. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You said it lends itself to the scene where she hears the sound of them and they sound like a terrible monster. Oh, are you talking about when they first go inside the ship and when they roar at her and she clenches her fist? Like,
yeah, like, oh my god,
scary. Yeah, no, I agree. But let's go to the so Forrest Whitaker goes to the second guy. Amy Adams told Forrest Whitaker, like, ask him this linguist question, and depending on how he answers, you should come back to me. And he does, because the dude like answered the question wrong, or like it was like translated a word super incorrectly. And then he comes and picks her up in the middle of the night. And then while we're on the helicopter, we meet probably my favorite character in this movie. We meet Jeremy Renner, Professor Ian Donnelly, the RPI student on this mission. And yeah, Ian is a theoretical physicist who's kind of there as like from like the purely scientific perspective, like his, you know, like he's kind of there more to figure out like the science of what's going on, like how did the ship work, like that's he wants to know. Like he has a list of questions that he's telling Amy Adams, like what he wants to know about them is like, how do their ships work, do they have mathematics, do they communicate with this or so and so, you know. And he's going off on these things, and she's just like, well, can't we just say hello? You know. But yeah, what do you think about Jeremy Renner in this movie and this helicopter scene? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, I think all the performances in this movie are, even though I just talked about Michael Stuhlbarg's before, I do still love. I think all the performances in this movie are great. Jeremy Renner, he just the way that he balances, and I don't really think it's like they're back and forth as like anything. Like disagreements obviously start at the beginning of the movie, and then a little bit more spoilers. You find out that they're separated. That the child is their child.
Yeah, in the future they're gonna get married, and they're gonna, yeah.
And then they're going to get separated out, and then they get separated at the end of the movie. And then just, it's like, you see how that can like build up from the start of just like their disagreements and the way that they work, but they still work really well together because they kind of balance each other out. And I think their performances they complement each other very well.
Yeah, it's really good. 'Cause like Amy Adams is like really soft spoken and like kind of stoic, and you kind of read everything on her face. Like she's really subtle. And I feel like Jeremy Renner is, I call him the comic relief, like closest thing to comic. Like he's like the one cracking jokes and the one being like, you know, the most kind of, definitely how like us. He's the nerd character. Like he's like he's the one that comes up with the names like Abbott and Costello and stuff for the aliens, and like
which is such a great name for those two, by the way. I think about that a lot. Oh,
yeah, no, it's really funny. I would have gone with Mario and Luigi or something. Yeah, no, fucking, yeah, no, I really enjoyed his presence, and like him and Amy Adams like work really well together, and just the kind of like ironically, I feel like we saw some of this too in The Arrival, which we'll get to later.
Oh my god!
But I just kind of like how these two like scientists and like experts in their field respect each other so much. Yeah. Like even though they study completely different like subjects, you know, like it's really cool to see in this. In you know, I feel like this was very much in the era of like super science positive movies, like something like this or something like The Martian, which I feel like came out the year before.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, just like really encouraging people to like respect scientists and like that science can be cool, guys, you know, kind of thing. Like I feel like there was a lot of content coming out around then that that really hit that. Which, by the way, I forget if I've told you this. If we talked about this, this might be a slight tangent because I just mentioned The Martian. I had always said that The Martian was a perfect like movie that has the look and tone and feel and like just vibe of what I think a perfect Fantastic Four movie would be. As far as like really having science like be the hero and like be this and have it be this like grand kind of scary like scientific adventure with that kind of like edge to it is what I think would be great. And just the whole aspect of like the family with the astronauts and stuff, you know, like it always gave me a big Fantastic Four vibe.
I could, yes. Actually, now that you think about it, I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it since it came out. Maybe once more in college, but I could totally see that, especially because who's in the? Is Jessica Chastain or
Jessica Chastain? The Winter Soldier. What the fuck is it? Sebastian Stan. Kate Mara, ironically, who was in a Fantastic Four movie.
Are we sure it's not a prequel?
Are we positive? Like it could be. Like if you cut some of that shit with like the spaceship satellite scenes from the Tim Story Fantastic Fours, it could be. But that's not going to happen. This MCU one with Pedro Pascal is going to be something. I'm very much not looking forward to that movie personally.
Yeah, I don't know. Just because I feel like every movie discussion I have nowadays goes into Marvel. I don't know. I think after Endgame for me, that's kind of where it started. I like Guardians 3, but
yeah, Guardians 3 was solid. That was definitely the last. That was the true like epilogue to the MCU, honestly, for me.
Yeah,
like they had some good conclusions for characters, but then, yeah, no, the Marvel could be its own. I don't want to do a Marvel episode at all, but like it could be its own saga, really.
Oh my goodness gracious!
The Infinity Saga,
directed by Josh Trank.
Directed by Josh Trank. Avengers is directed by Josh Trank. But yeah,
it's just all gray and just like slimy and gross.
Yeah, I want a black and white, Avengers black and white edition.
Release the Trank cut.
Exactly. No, for reals. But anyway, sorry. Back to the to Arrival. So yeah, she meets Jeremy Renner, which really great sound design in the scene too. Like where at first the helicopter's all loud, and then she puts on the headphones and like they go into their mic noise, and I really like just really good immersive kind of. I feel like that's another thing too about Denis Villeneuve in general. Like he's so good with sound design and like he really gives you the time to immerse yourself in these environments.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, like I feel like in my head I know the layout of that base. Like I know how long it's going to take to drive from the base to the bottom of the ship and stuff, you know, just because like he really lets us live in the environment with the sound and just the close-ups of stuff. Like when they're first rolling below the ship and Jeremy Renner feels the texture of the ship as they roll by and stuff. You know. So.
Yeah. Did this win the Oscar for probably sound mixing, I would assume.
Let's see. Reception. Let's see.
To the awards.
To the awards nomination. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay. What did it win? I think it looks like the only one it won was
it was editing. Oh, okay.
Sound editing.
Gotcha.
Which I mean I very much agree with that. I think the sound design in this movie was excellent.
Absolutely. And then before we go any further, my boy Johan, oh, the score in this movie
the score is incredible.
Incredible. Oh my goodness. That guy doesn't miss.
It's haunting when it needs to be, and it's sad when it needs to be, for sure.
Yeah. It makes that opening, and we talked about it makes it, and then just that first scene where you come up on and you see, which is an awesome shot too, even though it's like edited with the spaceship, where like they're in Montana and they're flying up to, or they're droning over to the spaceship, the mist over the mountains, and you just hear the low ambient like just score in the background. Like that's unworldly. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a really good distinction between the music and the sounds of the human world, and the music whenever alien shit is going on feels alien shit, you know. Which I didn't even talk about so that first shot where you see the ship over the mountains is just so beautiful. And I love just a really good job at showing a sense of scale. Like, you see all the vehicles and the helicopters and like all the things next to it, and there's this big rotating shot of like the whole region, you know, and you just see how imposing this fucking thing is.
Oh yeah.
You know, and the design of the ship itself, to me at least, like feels very 2001 in the vibe they're going for.
Absolutely. Yeah, just very basic, like basic colors, just very like a sleek design. It feels sci-fi, but it doesn't feel fantasy. It's really great. Really good choice too, with like the just making it this gargantuan thing and making it imposing, but it's always, I mean, granted, it's always in the background, but for some reason, like at least for the way that it's framed, it's never, maybe at the beginning it is, but like as you go further, it doesn't really feel intimidating.
No, it never feels scary that way. Yeah, I mean, like, but I feel like part of it definitely is kind of like how it's shot, because I guess even when it's in the background, it's all right for me personally. When like I've watched, I notice this every time I watch Independence Day, or I love Independence Day. By the way, you got the whole we have a whole episode on Independence Day, folks at home, if you want to listen to that one. Like the first time you see the alien spaceships like come over the cities, they're coming out of like this fiery red haze. Like it looks like they're coming straight out of hell. And like when you see them again, like it's from the perspective of like you're on the ground and they're coming over the skyscrapers, and like you're being enclosed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're being actually, and I think that might be an element of like why it's not intimidating, because when they arrive like they look like they're vertical like this. I feel like if it was a thing, if like they were looming over, like when they're horizontal,
like long ways, yeah.
Which is how they are at the end of the movie when the aliens get scared or whatever. Like they turn.
That's a good point.
They turn horizontal, and that, I don't know what it is in our brains, but to me, that kind of thing of like looming over like this reads as more offensive or more on the attack than just kind of like we're just chilling.
At least more dominating, like not necessarily promoting dominance, but it's just you see it just take up more of the space, and when the sky is so open and it's now all of a sudden covered by this thing you don't understand, like the more the merrier.
Yeah, dominating is a better word for it, for sure. But yeah.
Speaking of Independence Day, I quote that in your Independence Day episode where you talk about how the movie hates nerds. It's like it's like the anti this movie loves nerds. It's like, yeah, they work together, and that one's just like, fuck nerds.
Yeah, exactly. No, the 90s was the era of fuck nerds. It's about jock shit. Like every 90s sci-fi movie has like a nerd character that like they have their proposed way, but it takes some like dumb jock to come in like, no, we're gonna shoot it, or we're gonna fucking shove something up its ass, and that's gonna fix it. Like that's
probe it.
I mean, that's Tremors. Like literally, it's like all the working class folks like figure out a way out of this like sci-fi situation. Like that's almost every 90s sci-fi movie is fuck nerds.
Does it end to use Morse code or some shit to send to break the aliens or what? I forget how that movie. I haven't seen it in a while.
Which movie? Tremors isn't aliens. It's
no, it's very Independence Day.
Independence Day. Yeah, Jeff Goldblum gives the aliens a computer virus because it's War of the Worlds. So it's not a human virus, but like a computer virus with his Apple II laptop. And all you need, and like aliens, their tech, their advanced billion-year like alien computers just can't stand up to an Apple II laptop, and that breaks down their shields and shit.
Oh my goodness gracious! I love, my God, Roland Emmerich. You keep making movies, man. Make the next Godzilla. Make the next Citizen Kane.
Why in my head did I go? In my head when you said that, I was like, Roland Emmerich would make a great Godzilla movie. Then I was like, wait a fucking. Maybe not.
Wait, did I? Oh my God, I forgot he made a Godzilla movie.
Yeah,
no.
That's why I was like, oh shit. I guess not.
Oh shit.
Anyway, with Arrival, so they get to the base. Let's go right to like when they go inside the ship. Once again, there's a lot of like nice build up to them seeing the creatures for the first time, and like they're asking like, well, what do they look like? And the soldier's like, you'll see soon enough, and like they just build up, like they build up to the creature reveal so well, and like they build up to this dramatic reveal, and they go in the ship and gravity's all wonky, and there's a little moment of levity where like Jeremy Renner like trips when he tries to jump in the ship and shit, and he's like, oh shit, and like you're saying with the musical score, like when the creatures reveal themselves coming out of the fog, for that first time, and that just plays, like it really just hits,
Yeah.
And I want to ask you specifically, what do you think about the actual design of the aliens themselves in this movie, like as far as that goes?
I think it's brilliant. Just the bottoms, like looking like hands at the bottoms, like treading along the glass, and that one shot that it's got to be a Persona reference when Amy Adams holds her hand up to the glass, and you just see, I think it's Abbott, like with his own little like larger fingers come down, and then his big old hand just go and
against the wall, yeah.
Yeah, just what's the starfish from Finding Nemo? Find a happy place, find a happy place, find a happy place.
Yeah, I forgot. Pearl, or I think Pearl's the name of that starfish.
I think so.
But yeah, no, like absolutely. They're it's a combination of intimidation. I think the biggest thing to me is like, I'm a big fan of whenever you do aliens that aren't little green men. Just as far, or rather, one second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, no, it's all good. My music cut out. Just switch between different songs. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of. Well, I don't know. When you make an alien that like it really does feel like something super foreign. I mean, the closest you can put with these creatures at this point is like something that's squid-like or like an ocean or an insect kind of thing. But it just it's so far from human that it just makes the communication gap feel that much bigger.
Which is interesting, and then when you get to like the scene where Amy Adams is brought up into like that dream, like I guess the ship essentially, like towards the end of the movie, and you like see the camera pans up and it shows, I guess, the head,
like the head, main body of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So like closer, yeah, it's Costello. That's right. Again, it's like it looks just a little bit more human-y, even though it's basically a Dementor.
Yeah, like it almost looks like a big person in a cloak or something, like just showing like more. Actually, at that point I'm like, it looks like to me it looked like the I think they're called the Reavers from Mass Effect. Like just a really good like creepy, but also just like more realistic in that, like, if in my opinion, like any movie that has aliens where it's like little green men or like humanoid creatures, that's the likelihood of some other creature from another planet looking like that close to human would probably be pretty low. But I mean, who knows? But I don't know. I guess in 1996 they didn't necessarily care about that.
Yeah, and I just looked up Reaper from Mass Effect. Oh yeah, you're spot on. It's
yeah,
massive black legs, just towering over everything. It looks a lot like the spider from Enemy, actually.
Yeah, they love their spider designs.
I love their spiders.
But yeah, so they have their first encounter with them. Doesn't really go well. Amy Adams can't communicate with them. Next time they go in, she brings in a little whiteboard to try to see if maybe they have some kind of written communication. Because she's like, yeah, they're basically making whale noises, and we can't communicate that way. And she does it. She writes her name on the whiteboard, try to communicate, and they put up, like, they ink, oh no, I inked.
You guys made me ick.
Exactly. And puts up I forget what they call it in the movie, like a circular figure, like clear, like we can assume, and like it's clear that it's some kind of written thing, whether it's like a word or a letter or something, but like some kind of written communication that that the alien spits out. And from this point on, this whole middle section of the movie is you're pretty much just watching Amy Adams learn this language and figure out how to communicate with the aliens, and like just and in that there's a lot of really good conversations about how we communicate. I mean, early on, I think one, like, Forrest Whitaker isn't super happy, as far as like I think the first time, like, she submits like her vocabulary, like her list of like what her goals are in terms of like, I'm going to teach them our names, and I'm going to teach them greetings, and like these really basic things. And Forrest Whitaker's like, why are you doing this bullshit? She breaks down to him that, like, look, like, and I love the scene. And a nice little scene of levity with Jeremy Renner, where like he has this whiteboard full of equations and shit, and she just like fucking erases. He's like, no, not that part. And she writes down like, what is your purpose on Earth? And she breaks down the individual sections of.
I love that scene too.
Yeah, no, that scene's great, and she explains like we need to make sure that they understand what this means, and like the purpose of a question, and like you versus like you plural, and like all this stuff. And she has to convince Forrest Whitaker to like give her time, basically. And this is my favorite part of the movie. It's the part, I've already communicated it enough already, just as far as like it really makes me want to do a deep dive and really learn another language, because just like all of the things communicated. And I basically just want ask, in this middle section, what did you think of this middle section where we're learning, and like this, any scenes stick out to you?
Right around the middle point, I'd say probably you hit it right on. Like the whole thing, it's also like challenging, like as like to the viewer. It's just like, hey, like the patience of these characters is really coming through. Like, are you willing to go on this journey and learn about these characters and the language for them? I think it's really great. I really like the what's the scene? I'm blanking on it right now. I guess it's a little closer towards the beginning. That first scene, or it's this little moment where she's putting on, like, talking about her insecurity as a character, and then finally opening up. It's a little moment where she's like putting on her hazmat suit. I think it's the first or second time, and she just looks at her hands, and her hands are just like trembling, shaking, like clutching in. And then I think it's like the scene immediately after that when she like lets go, but pretty much takes off all of the suit, and just like that same hand is just up against the glass. Like, okay, I am letting go. I'm gonna learn as much about you as I can, even if that means like not necessarily getting over myself, but overcoming myself a little bit. Exactly. I think that little moment's great.
Just letting go of the fear and just like totally like opening herself up to this experience.
And she's definitely someone that likes comfort. Like, you have to think about, I guess, like thinking about just like where she is. Like, she's at the start of the movie, like she's on her own. Like, she definitely feels like she's comfortable in her own workspace. Like, considering just like her role as a professor, like even with nobody in her class or like everything going on in the background, she's like, all right, well, I'm going to start the lesson. I'm going to keep going. She seems like she's definitely like a little bit more, a little bit, maybe a loner, maybe a little bit more of a creature of habit, but she's like watching her come out of her comfort zone over the course of the movie is definitely, it's definitely a treat.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. I never thought about this before. I don't know any linguists in real life, but I feel like if you're a linguist, you'd be the kind of person who likes to talk to people. Like, as far as like, if your whole job is like learning languages, I feel like you'd be like, I couldn't shut you up, in one language or another. That, like I said, I don't know any linguists. So I don't know if that's a common thing.
Don't worry. Charlie Sheen in The Arrival is definitely a linguist.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. He
talks a lot about crushed assholes.
Exactly, 100%. Oh yeah, that is the best line in that movie.
Dude, I can't wait to talk about that movie too. Holy shit.
Yeah, we'll get to it. I'm really mad we never got a crossover with that. Imagine Charlie Sheen in this fucking base.
Oh, dude, everybody would die. Everybody would die.
We gotta kill those aliens.
We gotta kill those things.
we gotta shoot a radio antenna at them. Yeah.
It just becomes Independence Day.
Yeah. Sorry if I have a coughing fit. Like
Nah, you're good, dude.
I'm feeling a lot better today, but I'm still recovering.
That's good, man.
Yeah. No. So, anyway, yeah. So we have this whole middle section which is learning, and simultaneously, while we're learning about the alien language and like it's developing, we get a nice little montage narrated by Jeremy Renner, who like speeds us through some of the bigger points about like how, like how like we know, like how there's no correlation between what a heptapod says and and also the name heptapod is the name given to the aliens, 7 foot, because they got 7 tentacles. And during this, we kind of get more little flashbacks and little crossovers with Amy Adams. Kind of like at this point, you still think that she's just remembering like her daughter and like remembering this tragedy. But every time it happens, you kind of see her get more and more affected by it. And I think that at this point, they're just trying to make you think that like, oh, she's in a very stressful situation. Her trauma is just kind of coming back to, haunt her. And then, slowly we start to get these like little hints that like, there's more going on than just her learning this language. Like she's becoming obsessed in a way that doesn't seem supernatural.
Yeah.
And there's like a great little I guess you call it like a dream sequence, like a hallucination scene where Jeremy Renner, it's her and Jeremy Renner in like a little crew cabin room, and Jeremy Renner's like, like I read this theory that different languages people can affect how you think, and then she looks over and she's like, I'm not going too deep, and it's like she looks over at him and it's one of the creatures, one of the aliens.
It's Heptapod, yeah.
Heptapod, not in the glass. And I remember the first 2 times I saw this, that like made me jump a little, like that little reveal, because I forgot that it happened the second time I saw it, but that first time it really made me. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, he is a thing for like having characters in their movies see like terrible. Denis has a thing for having people in their movies see terrible, scary aliens. It's like a jump scare to the audience, and the character's just like, that happens in Enemy too, like right at the end with the spider. It's just, and then just Jake Gyllenhaal's like, all right, big spider, cool.
Yeah, a lot of characters not reacting to crazy, scary shit that they should.
I would not last in a Denis Villeneuve movie. Yeah. I swear to God.
I feel like something that Denis is really good at is he's able to make these very big supernatural things feel realistic, and I'm going to use this word and I don't mean about it, but like mundane. Like I'm thinking about like I wasn't huge on the new Dunes, but something I can say about them is like they feel like a very real world, and all of the characters like in the new Dune movies feel like they've lived in this world and they're used to like everything that's going on, and like a part of that I think has to do with his direction on like how he has his actors interact with their environments,
Right.
And I feel like this movie is kind of is no exception to that.
You can see that in a lot of his other ones too, like even Blade Runner to some extent. Like everybody is just within the universe. Like they understand. Like there's Ryan Gosling's characters, like just his I think his name is Joe. Like his routine when he goes in, interlinked, cells. Oh my God. And then Robin Wright, like God, yeah, you're totally right. Like just his just building into his world building. Like it's not just the world itself; it's the characters, and they all feel so lived in their environments.
Yeah, just even down to like, I don't know, just like there's all this crazy shit, but it's just something that, for these characters, it's just we're another day at work. Like in this movie, like once there's kind of like a little bit of a time skip and we see them talking to the aliens. Now Louise has this like big tablet device which she can like, type in like, symbols to talk to the aliens and stuff. It's like it's another day at work, or she looks like she's about to give a lecture. Really? Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think in that scene she has like her hair up in a bun and she's got like a she's got her tablet, like, okay, time to class with some aliens.
Give weapon to us.
Yep, give weapon. So I guess we're at that point. So the kind of getting towards like the starting off the third act, they receive a message from, or like the aliens communicate as far as they can understand the term use weapon, which obviously the U.S. government, the military, ain't super happy with. Are those cops near me or near you?
Oh, they're near me.
Okay.
They just heard about us talking about Arrival and
Oh,
also Independence. This joke isn't going anywhere.
okay. They heard me talking shit about the military, and
Yeah.
and then they ran over.
It's like, all right, we're coming. We're coming for you, LC. Wait, we're in DC. Oh, great.
Damn. They're gonna jump through the internet to get me. Anyway, but what was I saying? Yeah, the military's not too happy with it. And then Amy Adams explains to them, which she's correct about. She's like, sometimes, like in a lot of languages, the word for weapon and the word for tool are the same.
Yeah.
As far as like that's a concept that like is commonly like misconstrued when like translating and shit. So like it probably means tool. But the military ain't buying it, and then other countries that are involved in this whole situation aren't buying it. As far as let's see. As far as so a kind of important plot element that I guess, and this is actually a part of like maybe some of the issue I have with this movie. I'm not huge on like how this movie kind of wraps things up, but we'll get into it. The General Shang, who's Ambassador Han from the Rush Hour movies.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, no, Sima. Yeah, he's Ambassador Han from the Rush Hour movies, which
That's kind of sweet.
I didn't realize till this last time watching it because I recently rewatched all the Rush Hour movies. I'm like, oh shit, there he is. Who basically, yeah, he's like a Chinese political leader, like military leader in this movie. Who like he's more you don't really meet him or have any real scenes with him until the end. But basically, they're just kind of talking about throughout it, like, oh yeah, like old Chang. Did I say what? Yeah, Shang.
Shang, yeah.
General Shang. He wants to fuck the aliens up. Like he gets word about this message that the aliens want to use the weapon. So like he basically delivers a final message of like, yeah, if the aliens don't leave Chinese airspace, I'm gonna shoot missiles at them. And that kind of causes like throughout the whole movie. They have their big Skype call screens with like scientists from all over the world I don't think we mentioned if you're this far into you see the movie, like, but there's 12 ships around the world. And basically they've been communicating with scientists all around the world near the ships. And after this message is given from the aliens, everybody gets cut off. The communication gets cut off. The scientists can't talk to each other. And it's really lame.
Yeah, and we were like, that was what I mentioned about the looping it into how this movie affected me a lot more this time was like the whole communication element through COVID, right? Just like the whole it's just like a big old Teams call that's all of a sudden disconnected, and like just thinking about like a conference call, like, all right, great, coffee, all right, I'll see you in a little bit, I'm going to the bathroom, but just the added context of this like supernatural, just otherworldly planetary thing, and all of a sudden you just lose it. You just lose that connection immediately and you're screwed. It just kind of hit me seeing that, like, oh man, this is like at any second, like, just connection can be severed. And I mean, means a lot more in the context of the movie. It added a little bit more to the context of those scenes for me, especially the one where where everybody starts going rogue and connection's lost.
That's really interesting. You said when you had texted me saying that like post COVID, this movie made me feel that. That's interesting. I didn't think that was the angle you were going to come at it at. But that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it hit me a little. It hit me a little harder just seeing that for the first time in a while. I'm just like, oh, wait a minute, and there's this element of isolation that I now feel when I watch it too, and in a little bit, it definitely stuck with me a lot. It was like kind of haunting in a way, because as soon as everything cut out, I was like, all right, we're in the dark.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Just like every man for themselves type of deal. Yeah, no, for sure. That's kind of the vibe of this last bit. But yeah, no. So basically, at this point, no one's talking to each other. And the aliens. And then like I mentioned earlier, so at this point, as soon as everyone goes on the offensive, the alien ship kind of turns horizontal. And we don't know as an audience whether that means they're getting ready to leave, or if they're getting ready to attack. We missed a important bit.
The bomb going off.
The bomb going off in the ship. Yeah. So like Amy Adams and you were just saying Amy Adams and Jeremy. I was about to say Jeremy Johns. Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner go rogue. And
You want to drop more bombs in the middle of this universe or the middle of this like ship? Comment below. Let me know.
Yep.
Sorry. So sorry. I forgot that Jeremy Johns existed.
The smallest niche of people got that joke.
If you want to see more.
There are, in fact, actual listeners who listen to this podcast, and I know for a fact that at least one person is going to get that reference, and I really hope you enjoyed that one person.
I hope that one person gets Stuckmanized.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing. We gonna talk after about the shit with Chris Stuckman that's happening lately. But
oh my god, yeah. Sorry.
So much shit, but that's post. That's bonus show. Anyway,
Yeah.
but what was I talking about? The bombing, yeah. So Jeremy Renner and Amy Adams go rogue, go into the ship by themselves. And throughout the whole movie, they're like some army soldier guys who like kind of are doing this like conspiracy. They're watching, conservative media like shit, being like Alex Jones being like the aliens are here to steal our women kind of thing, and they kind of get radicalized and have this little plan to, attack the aliens. And they set off a bomb inside the alien spaceship while Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner are in there. And they get pushed out by the aliens because the aliens know it's coming.
That effect also is awesome. Like where it shows
where
them
the gravity
shipping out,
shifts?
and then and then they're just holding like all the gravity work that they do in this movie is just awesome. Like that one also a little bit later when this thing picks Amy Adams up and brings her to the ship, kind of. But yeah, that gravity shot is awesome, and then they just hold them in place, and then it just immediately cuts to just her in bed.
It looks great. Yeah, I wonder how they shot that. I don't own this movie on. I don't know why I don't own this. This is a movie that like I do really like rewatching, but it's one that I don't find myself wanting to rewatch a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it's one that like I need to be in the mood for. You know what I kind of mean?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of my favorite movies to rewatch is like dumb shit, like Jeff Goldblum blow up a spaceship with laptop. Like I'll watch.
Or crushed assholes.
Yeah, or crushed assholes. Yeah, I will definitely get high and rewatch The Arrival soon. That's for sure. But just for like, I need to be in the mood to rewatch it. So it's like that's one of the reasons I don't own it on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But I want to buy it just to like look at some of the behind the scenes because see how they do some of the visual effects because this movie isn't really a super VFX heavy movie really. Like it's not the focus of it,
Yeah.
But anyway, so after that the ships go horizontal. We don't know if that means that they're on the offensive, if they're going to leave. And then Amy Adams gets taken up into the ship. We mentioned this already that she sees the full view of Costello. Abbott is death process, he tells her. And then we get the reveal from the alien that the weapon or the tool that they were given is the language itself, and that basically like the theory is kind of correct about like when you think in a different language it alters your brain. The fact that like when you learn their language you perceive time in a non-linear way, like the way they think.
Yeah.
Which as far as like it's something that I remember the first time I saw it I was very much like but like confused by it. But I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, they laid it out in front of us, just the idea that, like, yeah, like, if language does change your brain chemistry and the way you think about it. Like, I was saying earlier with French, even if something is like the blue dog as opposed to the dog that is blue, Like, that's a different... That, thinking that way will make you view, like, absorb information in the world differently. So, like, if there's this language that operates on such a different level, sure, brain time travel. Why not?
Yeah, the thing comes before a part of the thing.
Yeah. Exactly. And so so she learns this and that all the visions we're seeing of her daughter in the future is her daughter in the future, and that her and Jeremy Renner get married. And I love the little shot of you see like a flashback you're looking at of her daughter making like little clay things. And like I there's a show where you and Daddy talk to animals, and you see that she makes a little clay thing of one of the aliens and stuff.
That pod, yeah. And
you're like, oh, So then we're kind of like in the end of this movie where basically, like we're cutting back and forth between like the future where Amy Adams is at some gala event thing, and she's talking to General Shang, and like. We're in the end of this movie. It kind of jumps around a lot, but like what?
Yeah.
Give me your. So, I think that this movie, this premise, a lot of this kind of ending feels a little bit like they needed to generate some more conflict. Like, the General Shang character to me kind of felt like a cheap way to like be like, okay, we need like a larger threat to be happening, you know, or like we need like a more an obstacle that is easier to understand, like in movie language, to overcome.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how I necessarily would have ended it, but like it kind of feels a little cheap to me. But what do you think?
It does. And I do think it is a little bit, maybe just this is how the interpretation is within the universe of the movie, just because they like allude to like a world unification or like a world, not necessarily a world peace, but a world understanding. Um, like that element of optimism being added to the end is cool, but you make a good point. It not necessarily that it's like bad, it just doesn't really feel earned or appropriate in the context of the movie. Like the scene where she interacts with the general, General Shang. I understand like kind of like how that relates to like the average, I guess, antagonist is a bad way to put it. Like, oh, this is how we're gonna, like, this is how the resolution comes to all the people that want to go to war. It's all like it's all personal. Like, I don't really. You make a good point where it just kind of feels a little more Hollywoody in an otherwise not very Hollywood movie.
Yeah, like I feel like we skipped ahead a bunch almost. Like I don't know. Like I feel like either I feel like either we needed more perspective from like maybe if we had like a little subplot where we were actually like at the Chinese base for a minute and like you're seeing how they're interacting with the aliens. Like maybe just giving a little bit more context to like being able to understand General Shang's perspective a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like is something the movie could have done something to make me feel that. But I mean it's not awful, and like the middle of the movie for me is just so great that it overcomes it. It's just like yeah, I don't know. It doesn't end the strongest with me. But yeah, basically how this kind of wraps up is like Amy Adams has to convince General Shang to not to not shoot at the aliens, and she does it by calling him, and in the future scene where they're at the gala, he tells her his wife's dying words, who he has not told anybody, and she tells it back to him, which this might be stupid of me, but Amy Adams is speaking like Cantonese at him over the phone, and I'm like I wonder how much she had to practice that, because she doesn't sound, I don't know, like it sounded like she was like reading a phonetic, you know, like it didn't sound like she was necessarily practiced, but then again I don't speak Cantonese, so I don't know. But yeah, so she says that, and then that's like apparently like just that. That's also another thing, is that he tells her that, and then within 5 minutes he's like, okay, I'll stand down. You know, it's
just like, all right, yeah.
All right, no more shooting aliens. Maybe we can figure this out. Yeah, it's kind of yeah, to me, it's just what it is. It feels a little bit like it was a little bit too easy. You know what I mean? Overcoming. I feel like more should have had to have been done. You know?
Yeah. But like thinking about that, like I still don't know what the right way to end the movie is. You know what I mean? Besides, like, I feel like the ending could work, but like what the point that you make, like for the added context of the other people communicating, not just with the aliens but with each other, is key. So I could totally see your point.
Amy Adams transforms into an alien.
Amy.
It's
what?
Just make it District 9. I mean, like she's like she's like lives in the mountains now, and she's slowly transforming into an alien. like her head is getting longer. Like she turns into one of the aliens, like, you know.
Oh my god! Or like in The Arrival, where she puts on like one of the like a fake face, and
yeah,
it's just a heptapod. It's just a heptapod.
Exactly. She like walks around in a heptapod suit, and that's how the movie ends. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Or like, yeah, no, ooh, a dumb ending like that would kind of rock. Not gonna lie.
Dude, it would hit so hard. I'm just trying to
something stupid like that. Like I know that it wouldn't make any sense with a daughter, but if it was a Close Encounters of the Third Kind thing, where she like leaves with the aliens to like go live with them or something. Yeah.
Or like the ending of have you seen the movie Lamb? I
Yeah,
think it's called.
I love like.
Or
Oh yeah, yeah. When the
It's just to
Ram
have
Man
to-
pulls up. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Oh.
that's how I would want it. I'd want something off the wall like that.
Something insane.
Something crazy. Yeah, like the aliens come down and they're like, "We give you nacho fries." That's how the movie ends.
That just, oh my god! Now I just have this. Oh my god! Back to, or like at the end of the Arrival, like when Kiki, like is just
Yes.
walking backwards, bow-legged, like
And
Xavier,
running
Renegade
into-
Angel.
running into the sunset. Yo, oh.
It's just Jeremy Renner running to the
We're
helicopter.
wait, okay. We're literally about to get into it, but I want to ask you this one question about
Okay.
The Arrival before we start talking about The Arrival.
Yeah.
Did you predict the Kiki twist?
Absolutely not. I was
Really?
gonna touch upon that. That was there were some moments like looking back like in hindsight, but like just that moment when he's behind the glass and like that stare, I'm just like, no way.
It blew my mind as a kid.
It's genuinely a good twist. Yeah.
It's a great twist, yeah. No, like it really. Well, we're about to get before we get into it because I feel we're both itching to. So with this movie, yeah. So and that's pretty much the end of Arrival. Great movie. So I didn't think about this myself. What prop do you want from this movie?
Ooh.
I feel like this is a harder one than Arrival. I have multiple choices for The Arrival that I'm thinking that I have in my head, but this one's a bit harder.
Let me think. Good props from this movie. You go first, because I'm trying to think of one.
One of the hazmat suits maybe would be
Nice.
pretty cool. Or Forrest Whitaker's little tape recorder. It was a cute little tape recorder. It's tough because there isn't like an iconic. The ships aren't models, so it couldn't be like, a model of one of the ships or whatever. Oh wait, no. I know what I want. I want Amy Adams' daughter's little her little drawing of like
Oh, that's a good one.
of like the TV show The Animals where she draws the heptapod and Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. I want that like as a poster or something. And people are like, what the fuck is that? And
Then I'll do the little clay or Play-Doh heptapod that's on the table. It's
Solid.
pretty sweet. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the little daughters like Jessie and horse costume at the end of the movie, just because I need something for Halloween this year.
that's a good one.
I'm trying. Yeah, but
That's a very good
no,
one.
that's good.
Yeah.
What about question for you? If you were to rank your top three, Denis, because I already mentioned my top three, and they kind of rotate all over the place. You said so. The Arrival's number one. What's below it for you?
Arrival's definitely number one. I have to open his Wikipedia page because I got to remember. Arrival's definitely number one. Blade Runner's probably in the top three. Well, I've only seen from Prisoners on, or it's been a long time since I've seen Prisoners. I honestly, I remember loving Hugh Jackman's performance, but there wasn't a whole lot about it that I super remember. With me needing to rewatch Prisoners, I guess, yeah, Arrival number one, Blade Runner 2049 as number two, and I guess I'll put Dune Part 2 over. As far as like, I definitely enjoyed Dune Part 2 more than Dune Part 1. But a lot,
I'm about.
yeah, a lot of that has to do with what's his name, Austin Butler. Austin Butler was
Oh, dude, he's unreal in that
he was
movie.
a fucking revelation. Like I was saying, and I see it again and again and again. If they try another Dragon Ball Z movie, he's got to play Frieza, like straight up.
Damn, I wish I never watched Dragon Ball Z. So I wish I
He's
could.
the purple guy with the purple dome head, and like he's all
Dude.
white. He looks like him. One second, I have this. Yeah, he looks like him, and I didn't spell it right. Who the fuck is that? But yeah, Frieza.
Dude, let's go.
The Phaedra Alpha looks like him, like straight up.
He's got like the eyeliner, like their little eyeliner on him. Like he's got like the triceps, or he's got the lack of triceps, but big shoulders
Yeah.
for it. So I think he's got it.
He's got the purple on his head. Yeah. Your top three, Denis?
It's probably still Blade Runner for number one, but I'm going back and forth between that, Arrival, and Prisoners. They're all so great.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, probably just because of recency bias, it's probably Arrival number two.
Mm-hmm.
But god damn it, if there's any, it's just like the thing with the Dune movies, like yeah, it's an existing IP, but just the trust of giving money to a director in this day and age to just go creative freedom, like you're free, especially with like some of the unfortunate like failures of Furiosa box office wise. Like it's
Yeah.
so cool to see.
No, it's tough. It's tough for real. Yeah, Furiosa is like in a really weird spot for me as far as like why it's suffering, because it kind of feels like it's the perfect platform for something to do well. Like it had Memorial Day weekend. It's got Anna Taylor-Joy, who's a hot ticket. Mad Max Fury Road at the time wasn't a box office hit, but like it's just become such this cult darling over the years. You know, like everybody loves Fury Road. Yeah, no, and it's like you were just saying, like original, like hot, like mid to high budget movies by filmmakers who have pretty much all their creative freedom they want. And people just didn't. The only reason I can think of as far as like why Furiosa is bombing as hard as it is because I don't know how much of the Fury Road fandom, like the Mad Max fans, and the overlapping of people who'd be like, oh, Furiosa's feminist woke bullshit type thing. Like how much of like that has crossover, you know? Like
that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Like there's going to be some short-sightedness when they come to that.
Yeah, like that's the only thing I could think of that would keep significant audiences away. But yeah, no, that's its own whole thing as far as like why I feel like. Have you seen Furiosa yet?
Oh yeah, I saw it actually 2 days ago.
Okay, yeah, maybe like you can hop on, or we could do like an aside about it. 'Cause I'm seeing it. Me and Joseph are seeing it tomorrow. And then yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that element of it as far as like why things. Because like I just want to talk about it now as far as I don't think that movies, like people are saying like theaters are dying, movies are dying. I don't think the art form is dying whatsoever. I don't think physical media and like theaters. I think the industry is changing and like it's transforming into, it's going the same direction that like I compare it to like arcades, as far as like there are still arcades, but it's like they're bar arcades, you know, or like it's transforming into like a niche. And as far as like, you know, same thing with like vinyl, as far as like where it's Blu-ray is now, where like the boutique labels are hitting Criterion, Arrow Video, like Scream Factory, all of them are doing great,
are doing well.
But it's just it's a collector's market now, you know, as far as like it's not like a mass produced thing. It's like for the people who are really into it, you know. But anyway, so maybe I can get you in on the we can talk about the Furiosa theater thing in a separate episode. But yeah, sorry, did you did your top 3, right? But you said Blade Runner and
like Blade Runner, Arrival, honestly I might switch them, and then Prisoners.
Yeah, I need to rewatch Prisoners, like I said. Who's the other guy in it? Terrence Howard? Yeah.
Terrence Howard, Jake Gyllenhaal,
Viola Davis.
Yeah, you got the list right there.
I forgot that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
That's right, Melissa Leo is the
Dylan Minnette. I didn't remember him. Is he Hugh Jackman's son?
Dylan.
That's so funny.
I think he is. Yeah,
wow.
He is.
The most punchable face in Hollywood.
It was Will Poulter up until he became a Giga Chad. But
that's true. Until Will Poulter became hot, and then I don't know. Nothing beats Dylan Minnette. The thing with Dylan Minnette, I find I enjoy just watching him get beat up. Like I remember.
Jesus Christ.
Well, no, just like I remember weird story. In college, I think my junior year, either like a fall break or like spring break, there was a break where I was the only person in my apartment. My 3 roommates were gone for, I forget if it was a whole week or if it was just a weekend. And I spent the whole break like getting high and just being naked in my living room watching all of 13 Reasons Why. Just because I wanted to know what the zeitgeist was. Also, just I like mystery type of thing, and yeah, it's like a YA thing, but I was still interested. I wanted to know what the cultural impact was. And Dylan Minnette gets the shit beat out of him in that show constantly. Like he knows how to fucking take like every episode, he just ends with more bruises than he had in the beginning. And it's just always entertaining to see him get beat up. You know.
I don't mean to laugh at some like kid getting bullied or like physically abused, but there's just something about this one actor that you don't like
Yeah.
getting beat.
Yeah. No, not the character. Oh, the character is kind of a shithead too. But definitely it's Dylan Minnette specifically.
Yeah, fuck you, Dylan Minnette.
But anyway, let's
just Dylan Minnette, if you're listening to this, no, we've got nothing against you because you're definitely listening.
Yeah. Go make another Wallows album. Go rip off the Smiths more. Maybe I do have beef.
No.
Maybe I do have beef with Dylan Minnette.
My God.
Okay, let's talk about The Arrival, released in 1996, starring Charlie motherfucking Sheen. Which, by the way, so rewatching this movie yesterday, I hadn't seen it since I was like elementary school. Honestly, like my main memory of it is I was terrified of it. As a kid, we had it on VHS, and it was a scary movie about aliens. But rewatching it yesterday, I was like, God damn, this is not what I remembered. And I didn't remember that it was Charlie Sheen. I forgot all about Kiki. I forgot everything. And yeah, got it. So okay, before we start, you knew nothing. You had not heard of this movie at all before I mentioned it.
I literally didn't know this movie.
Yeah. So this movie, film was a commercial failure. It only grossed. Yeah, sorry, I was reading this the other day. This movie came out 2 weeks before. Not 2 weeks. It came out a month before Independence Day. So yeah,
Really?
So it very much got wiped off the face of history by the more successful movie about an alien invasion. You know.
Yeah.
It grossed $14 million on a budget of about $25 million. And it was successful on international run, and it's somewhat of a cult classic. I put this movie in the same realm as like Tremors and Contact, and
definitely see the contact level first.
Yeah, that kind of like, or like Eight-Legged Freaks, like the kind of 90s like I feel like the 90s had a lot of movies that were very much the we want that 50s Twilight Zone kind of sci-fi vibe, and we want to make it edgy, you know, is like, and that's just my favorite kind of movie. Even down to like, there's an actor in here did you ever see the movie Eight-Legged Freaks?
No, I did not.
Have you heard of it?
I feel like I've heard the name mentioned at some point, but maybe
it's another
not.
90s movie. It was Scarlett Johansson's first movie. There's like a 17-year-old Scarlett Johansson in it. And it's basically about, there's like this radioactive waste is like dumped in this like river near town, and all these spiders get affected, and they grow to like giant size, like the size of like people and SUVs and shit, like these just giant spiders that invade the town. And it's like a cheesy kind of vibe. And one of the actors in this movie who plays like the assassin in The Arrival is the mayor from that movie. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's all part of the same universe. But I guess overall, before we get into the plot of it, I mean, overall, like, did you like it? Did you not like it? Is like so bad it's good to you? Like, what was your overall vibe on
it? Jesus Christ. Where do I start? It didn't have me for the first like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like 15, 20 minutes. Like, I mean, they have the whole setup. We'll talk about go a little bit more into the plot later with him like discovering the signal, and then like the early attempts at a cover up. As soon as I saw him sweaty and shirtless, I was in.
As soon as Charlie Sheen took off his shirt, as soon as like he got coked up before a scene.
He got fucking coked up, dude. Like the first, he's like on his patio. Like, I think him and his part. I'm blanking on the name of the girlfriend, but
Charmander, Charmeleon.
Charmander blasting fire all over his. I've got no idea what she's doing. Is she like washing his back, massaging his back?
I was confused in that scene too. Oh damn, she aged. She aged well. Shit, hold up.
Teresa Polo.
Terry Polo. When's this picture from? Oh, this is 2014. Well, I don't know. 12 years after this may not be looking great. Sorry, continue.
But no. After that scene, then he goes to this whole little self-loathing spiel, and then it becomes typical like conspiracy like thriller thing for me. And I remember I texted you like at a certain point, like 30, 40 minutes into the movie, before a certain scene, which we're gonna get to in a second. I'm just like, my brain was going back and forth, like, is this is the climate conspiracy. Like I knew it was gonna and like aliens are gonna be involved, but it's just kind of both.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conspiracy about a lot of things, which I think is actually, which I think makes it more interesting. Because it tries to tackle a lot of themes like at once, and it's one of the most paranoid character portrayals to kind of encapsulate that I've ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charlie Sheen, I made this joke earlier. He makes every single face in this movie.
Yeah, he has the full range. This is a full performance.
Every single face in this that you can ever imagine, he makes it. And the scene where, very curious scene, where all the bathtubs in the best hotel in town all fall through, like from the top to the bottom.
That was a great fucking scene.
And not only does he look down into the hole with his whole bug-eyed, like, oh my god, he sees this like naked woman on the fucking toilet who's screaming, and he just makes the same face, like.
He's just losing it.
He's just losing his mind. We're 30-40 minutes into this fucking movie, and I think the chase happens either before or after, where he follows that long-haired guy.
Oh yeah, he follows he was the not the cab driver, the guy who was following him from the airport. Yeah, he chases him into the streets, which I was really hoping that I forgot so much about this movie. I was really hoping that he was going to chase him completely naked through the streets.
I was so excited. I wanted.
He was naked, but I'm like, no, he's just going to be shirtless. God damn it.
He's just shirtless and sweaty, dude. I swear to God, I can't not see Steven Seagal. Like I was looking at the poster right now and saw the goatee, and I'm like, my goodness gracious, if he had a ponytail.
Yeah, I completely forgot that it was Charlie Sheen until the credits, and I was looking at him and I'm like, is that the goatee really makes it's the goatee plus his spiky hair because like I'm just so not he doesn't really have that spiky hair in anything else, you know.
No, he does. It is a really distinct look for him, which sounds kind of weird but yeah, you got the picture up right now for those. It's like a super jelly, like it's like a Chris Hemsworth kind. Like in that one picture, it's like spiky, like Chris Hemsworth and Thor Ragnarok, which is something I never thought I'd say about Charlie Sheen. And the full beard too. Like that one part with that goatee, dude, I can't.
He looks like a member of Blink 182 or some shit. Like.
Oh man, Sugar Ray. He's like the bassist for Sugar Ray.
Yes, that's the exact vibe. Like early 2000s, like bass player, keyboard player, and like a pop punk like type of deal.
It's like a cover band for Black Flag in the 90s that nobody wants to deal with.
Yeah.
Is he the bassist? He kind of looks. Never mind, maybe not the bassist, but anyways, I'm sidetracking about Sugar Ray. We did a little pool thing this weekend at my girlfriend's, and we had like a Sugar Ray playlist on, so like just like early 2000s, like Scooby Doo rock. Like I'm just ripping it right now. But anyways, back to the movie. I'm trying to think of other plot point. Yeah, there's like the self-loathing angle, which is really curious, and he's just kind of like. And what do you think of his character? I just think he's just kind of like this asshole.
So I watch with his character specifically. So throughout this whole movie, I saw shades of a bunch of other movies in it. But with Charlie Sheen's character in particular, I saw there were a lot of there was a lot of characters that I saw a lot of with him. There's definitely some They Live, like Roddy Piper and They Live energy.
Absolutely.
Big time in there. There's a little bit of like Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day kind of vibe as like being the core scientist character.
That was my first thought too.
There's an element of I was thinking a lot of like this is kind of like a more evil Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where like he's just so obsessive over this thing, you know, like it really feels like he's being called to it kind of thing, just like that amount of pressure that he's putting on himself just made me think of that, like that obsession. And then just like his like I was thinking of Bert from Tremors is like even though he's the scientist, he's also kind of like the everyman kind of hero, you know, like it's a really weird blend of like he's the scientist but he's also kind of like the tough guy action hero kind of.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's such a weird
his outfit when he comes back from Mexico is a little bit Taxi Driver energy.
Dude, I was gonna say like the same like big trench coat thing. I immediately thought about like because I was thinking about Denis Villeneuve and I'm like, dude, that's like Jack Blade Runner. That's Joe.
Yeah.
And also, that's another thing too. Like even like the simple character transformation of just like the beard and like the little bit raggy
Yeah.
stuff. He actually, it feels like he's seen some shit.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
there's an interesting physical element to his performance
Yeah.
too. Like he's just always bugging out all the time, but he just comes back. He's like tired.
Yeah, I mean,
and-
he's honestly, I think that this is a good performance, and that like, without him talking, I know what he's thinking. Like the whole, we're gonna
Yeah.
get to it in more detail, but like, there's a scene in this movie where like he's in the aliens' underground base or whatever, and it's like a 16-minute sequence where he's like walking around this like alien base, seeing shit, reacting to shit, and there's zero dialogue or zero human dialogue except for the aliens going, or whatever. And you just see on his face like how he's awestruck, he's terrified, he's like scared, he's trying to figure out a way out of there, like, and he does it all just with like his body language and his face, and for me it's super effective.
Yeah, and honestly, that scene is great too. Obviously, we'll touch on it a little bit more later, but like, honestly, the effects in that scene, the effects in this movie are solid for the time.
All right.
Well,
I think.
all right. Well,
I think that the we'll talk about it when we get to the aliens themselves, as we go through this. But let's start breaking down the story. So Charlie Sheen plays Zane Szymanski. Great fucking scientist name.
Great name. ZZ Top.
ZZ Szymanski.
Carrot Top Muppet.
Real Stan Lee naming scheme with the alliterated with the double letter Zane Szymanski. Also Zane is such a 90s name. He's an astronomer that works at SETI. I've always loved SETI. Is SETI still around? Does SETI still do stuff?
Probably.
I want to visit SETI.
I don't know.
Google's failing me. 1 second. I want to visit SETI. I need to see if SETI's still around. They're a nonprofit organization. Yep, they still do shit. Maybe. This website's looking a little crusty.
Yes, oh, it's a question mark.
Yo, SETI has a podcast, bruh. Oh wait, of the instant.
All right, we need another guest speaker. Let's call him right now. Come on, Sam.
Yeah, SETI. Yeah, someone from SETI. Anyway, so he works at SETI, and him and his coworker Calvin, they're both radio astronomers at SETI, and they're on an average day at work as far as like they're just listening to the stars, and like, you get the sense that like this is just kind of day in and day out. Like Calvin is like, whatever, this is just a job, but like you see that Zane is like, he's way more hopeful about finding something,
Yeah.
Like he's like, let's stay longer and check out like this star, this section, this quadrant, and then pretty much the movie opens with them getting a spike. They get a signal from somewhere, and I thought it was and they're like doing all the tests, and they're doing all the things to like check it and make sure it's legit, and then it disappears after 42 seconds.
Yeah.
Fucking they take it to their boss, who real good corporate fucker boss, played by not Richard Schiff. Ron Silver, Gordian, Phil Gordian, who the whole time I thought was Ray, Ray Romano.
You could see it a little bit, yeah.
I was tricked the whole time, and he's all like, it could be a fucking like microwave, it could be who knows,
Maybe it's Maybelline. What are you doing here?
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Basically at this point, it is kind of like a typical like we're doing layoffs kind of plot line going on, and he tells Zane that he's fired. Which from the jump, I remember when I was watching this just now, I was like, it seems kind of weird that he would be the one that would be fired, but it seems like he's the most active scientist, So they go to his boss, Gordian, and
Gordy.
Yep, Gordian, and he's a dick. I thought he was Ray Romano the whole time, like I said. And Charlie Sheen gets fired for being too good of a scientist. And then basically the first kind of like goofy scene is he still wants to research this star, so he pretends to be like a satellite TV company.
Oh my god, I forgot about that scene.
In very 90s fashion, and he goes around to people's houses and basically like hot wires everybody's satellite dish in his neighborhood. um, and fucking makes his own little satellite array. And he builds like a really cute little lab in his attic, and it's very cool.
Yeah, and is that before or after he gets the orb? I'm trying to remember.
The orb?
Like that orb thing that like projects all the light that like just like disconnects and
the sucky orb?
Yeah.
The sucky orb is way later, bro.
It's way later. Oh my
yeah,
gracious! I thought I remember this movie.
You know,
oh yeah, he's like dig dug ditching people, and then
and then he's like basically hot wiring all their satellites to make his own little satellite array. And basically, so he has this little setup in his attic. And this is when we meet Kiki, little black next door neighbor kid, who is
my favorite character in the movie.
The most 90s like sidekick of all. Like, it was very clear the studio was like, we need something to tap into the urban youth market. We need something.
What is he? Where's that? Does that scene happen where he's just like rollerblading around with like a broom or something? Like he.
No, that's later on when the assassin visits. That's when you're thinking of the ball, because
that's right.
The assassin's character comes around and uses the sucky black hole ball thing to destroy all of Zane's evidence, or all of his work.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, Kiki is like hanging out outside of the window, and he's like, "I want to see what you're doing." Like, I live with my grandma.
He's just like there,
you know, and he's just spitting off like, "I'm from LA. I'm from the streets." You know,
for no reason. He's just like, yeah, I'm just looking.
I just want to see what you're up to. Yeah. So then, 1 second. So yeah, then Zane basically lets him in because he's being annoying. And yeah, like this character is fun, just as far as like, there always has to be a kid in these 90s like adventure movies, you know. And then, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it now. It's revealed at the end of the movie that Kiki is an alien who's been watching him the whole time, like,
which is a genuinely surprising twist.
Yeah, no, it's nuts, because the whole time, like, I mean, this kid is doing a good job at being just like the dumb kid sidekick who, you know, you think is there, but in context, when you go back and rewatch some of the scenes with him, you can tell like, oh no, he's in cahoots, because like when the assassin guy does look over at him, they have like a little mutual moment where they kind of look at each other and give each other some acknowledgement, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That like, yeah.
And I always thought that was just like played off, and like looking back at the scene, it's just like, oh, you just notices the kid, or it's like, oh, I gotta get on out of here, but no, it's different.
Yeah, when you look back at it. But yeah, no. So while while Zane and Kiki are messing around with the satellites, they pick up the signal again. But this time it's along with some music from a Mexican radio station, and Charlie Sheen. Oh, and there's a great moment in this scene when Charlie Sheen, like the kid's like, what the aliens? What do you think they're saying? And Charlie Sheen's like, who knows? Maybe how to live forever. And he says something like, innocuous like, maybe who's gonna win the next Super Bowl? You know, something like that. Like he really, like, I don't think Charlie Sheen blinks once in this movie.
If you told me that he blinks, I'd call you a liar. Like I'm starting to think Charlie Sheen likes drugs. It might be call it a hunch.
Call it an educated guess. Yeah. But yeah, this eventually leads him down to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Where he. Oh, also, we forgot to mention alongside. So there's another scientist character who we kind of see in the background.
That's Alana, right?
Yeah, Alana, who looks exactly like his girlfriend. They're pretty much identical. Played by Lindsay Krause. They have the same. They're blonde with the same like haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Who she's like a climate scientist type of deal, and she's like studying like, oh, there are more greenhouse gases that are popping up. So and she was led to the same place in Mexico where like it seems like all these greenhouse gases are coming from here. And yeah, no, so like you said, so as soon as he lands in Mexico, shit's off. Like there's that guy who follows him and drops the bathtub on him. Like I said, where he's singing, which is a great scene. By the way, I forgot that. I'm like, oh, the water's. I was like, are they gonna try to like drown him or like electrocute him with the water?
Nope. Just gonna drop it bathtub.
Yeah, I'm like, how many other people died while trying that murder attempt? But anyway, yeah, he chases the dude down the street. Unfortunately, not naked. And so at this point, when the dude's legs reversed and he jumped up the building, what did you think, Jack?
Dude, oh my god. This is where the movie got me. This is where I was
That's where you
hooked
started
from the
caring.
moment. That's when that's because like it took a few turns that like in the context of the movie like I'm sure like it makes sense, but like as soon as they went full Xavier Renegade Angel with the backwards legs, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's it. Have you seen Xavier Renegade Angel?
I have not, but people keep.
The main
Tell me about
the main character, they've got the backwards legs. So you just look up Xavier Renegade Angel legs. Yep.
Oh wow, it's literally that.
Yeah. It's got to be like a reference. It's like way too uncanny like to not match it, but
It's way too specific because that's exactly it.
yeah. For those of you listening, we're currently looking up Xavier and looking at his weird little legs.
Oh, it came out in 2007. I imagine it must be a reference to this movie.
Yeah. And they're the creators of Wonder Chosen, The Shivering Truth, which is also on, I think it's on HBO. They did that too, but it's one of some of the ultimate stoner comedy. Adult Swim, like the most Adult Swim show you could ever imagine. That's this.
Yeah, no, I never watched it, but I gotta check it out.
But no, honestly, like I made the comment earlier about the effects being good. Maybe I'll take that back. Effects are effective. It makes sense. Like, it got a reaction out of me.
I think what it comes down to is that I think the design of the aliens and like all the alien shit is really good.
Yeah.
Like I think the actual like how much the CGI looks like it blends into the world and stuff is like one thing, but I mean I think the creature design is good. Like, and I do think that like they use like seeing the backwards legs is like it's really uncanny the first time it happens.
Yeah.
You know, and like it makes you go, what the fuck? And yeah, no, it's like the mystery is starting to kind of unfold itself at this point. But yeah, no, then the next day he goes to like the radio station that the signal is coming from, and he sees Alana being harassed by the scientists. Not by these scientists, by these guards at the base. And they're questioned for a minute. And when they're released, Zane notices that one of the guards looks exactly like his boss. Like, same face shape and everything.
Yeah.
You know? And, yeah, a little hint that, like, there's some fuckery, there's some shape-shifting fuckery going on. Yeah. Just looking at the rest of it. But yeah, so like you said, this was around the point where you started getting invested in the plot. Yeah,
because the plot was it kind of felt like the streamlining conspiracy angles, and it tried to tackle. And this is the point I made earlier about it trying to tackle like a lot of themes. It actually ended up kind of working for me. Like once I hit that certain point of zaniness, because at that point it was just throwing a lot of information in front of you, and you're surrounded by a character that's also trying to take it all in. And honestly, like, yeah, once I hit the point where he started going down into the alien ship, when he sees the definitely not an alien satellite pop out of the ground at the facility.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, yeah, I'm locked in. This is really fun.
Definitely not a weird, clunky alien satellite. Yeah, it looked like something out of fucking StarCraft or something.
I was gonna say Stargate, but yeah, Starcraft is
major Stargate vibes from this movie. Oh my god, yeah. I think that's what I was thinking of. Like when I was thinking of like with Charlie Sheen's character, like Kurt Russell from Stargate. Wait, was that Kurt Russell in Stargate, or am I thinking of someone?
Well, there's James Spader. James
Spader is the nerd, the scientist.
He's a combination of both.
I think Kurt Russell is the military guy. He's O'Neill.
Yeah.
But I gotta remember. I'm more familiar with the shows and the movies at this point. Yeah, damn, it was.
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell is the badass military dude with a dead son, and then James Spader is the weirdo that fucks an alien.
Yes.
Yeah. Why need two characters when you can just have coked out Charlie Sheen?
Exactly. Just combine them into one.
Yeah, that's actually probably pretty apt. Combine them into one, except somehow Charlie Sheen is sweatier than anybody in the movie about a desert planet.
Yeah. Charlie Sheen is the sweatiest boy. But yeah. So, so basically at this point he finds before he goes into the alien facility, him and Alana have some drinks, and there's a little bit of a will they won't they kind of scene.
Yeah, that's such a weird scene too. Like when they're in the hallway and she asks him like, "Is there a warm body back in your bed?" And he's just like, "Oh yes, but like no."
He's like trying to like be like kind of cute and like unknowing, like I'm a nerd, and
Not like other boys.
Not like other guys. And I forgot if they had ended up together or not, but I guess not. Yeah, it's a weird scene. He doesn't spend the night, and then the skeleton man, a puppeteer guy who's been chasing him all around, just has a bunch of boxes of scorpions.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the scorpion.
Yeah, I know, which weird way to assess. And he just leaves scorpions all around her hotel room. And it's such a stressful scene because there's so many moments in this hotel room scene where she like almost gets gotten by one of the scorpions.
Yeah.
Like she like takes the towel and like washes her face and there's a scorpion in the towel, or like she goes to the fridge and there's a scorpion next to the milk, and like just fucking like just so many times where she almost gets stung but doesn't.
I don't know why. I just immediately, every time I think about scorpions, I just think about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That one scorpion scene. It has nothing to do with like the whole movie. It's just one scene where Shia gets like stung, and he's just like, "Am I gonna die? Am I gonna die, Dr. Jones? Am I gonna die?" Shia, how big was it?
Yeah, no, Indy asked him like, "How big was it?" And he was like, "Huge." And he's like, "That's good. The big ones won't kill you. It's the little ones you gotta watch out for." Yeah. I feel like I still haven't seen Dial of Destiny. Did you see it?
Honestly, I've got no desire to.
Me neither. Which sucks because it's James Mangold, and I love James Mangold.
Oh, it's James Mangold?
James Mangold directed that piece of shit, yeah. Which like I said, I haven't seen it, but I have heard nothing but awful things. And I
know there's like time travel in it.
Yeah. Straight up time travel.
All right.
Yeah, everything about it just didn't look good. But yeah, anyway, so we're now at the scene. So yeah, Alana, she gets killed by a scorpion. She crawls into bed and she gets scorpioned. And around this time, Zane sneaks his way into like the radio station factory place, and he goes down to like the sub level, and he's in this big alien facility,
which I think looks really good.
Yeah, no, like the design of it's great.
Mm-hmm. But when we
well, no, tell me, like, what did you like about this sequence? Like, what did you like? This is your first time seeing. Were you surprised that this is where it was going, or how do you feel about this scene?
I was surprised about how effective it was, and like the effects of like the sucky orb, as well as like the actual like art design and the aesthetic of the alien base. Like it's honestly really great. Like it's pretty creative. Like I love like the gold. Like just keep in mind I'm also colorblind, so I might be getting the colors wrong. But even like the elevator, like just the illuminated elevator in the scene where like he ends up throwing the a very curious scene where he throws a cab driver out.
Yeah.
The face of the elevator. Yeah. We talk about that for a second. Oh,
that's a great scene where him.
Oh man, with the face change too.
And he's melting.
And God damn it, what's the line again? I'm blanking on it, but it's such an obvious. You want to see the ruins?
Do you want to? He's like goes like, "Do you want to see the ruins, my friend?" I think is the line.
And you just hear him go.
In his alien voice. And the cab driver's trying to talk to him in alien. He's like, "Yeah, no, the weather, am I right?" He's like, "Yeah, them dolphins."
Dolphins. Watch World Cup.
Yeah.
But no, and it's actually funny because you mentioned we were talking about the design of aliens earlier. Like it's a little bit kind of more of a generic design like just in terms of the aesthetic of the aliens, but I thought it worked in the context of this movie.
I mean,
because there was like
Sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It's kind of like because like there's a whole plot device of them of like the habitability of Earth, and then using like the body in order to get or like ultimately like they're trying to raise the Earth to like a climate that they can survive in. Like that's kind of the ultimate goal for these guys. But it makes sense because the aliens seem like more vulnerable. They seem like weaker.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of another element like Independence Day using bodies, human bodies, shape-shifting bodies as a shell. I think it works. I think it works in the context of the movie. Like, the design of the aliens definitely feel very, very much in tune with what they're going for in terms of like the plot.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, even though they're a bit more typical in that like they're humanoid, you know, they have 2 legs, and your head and stuff. There's still things like there's like a lot of exposed musculature and like weird, like just the way their bodies are shaped, and then they have like flaps around their exposed brains and shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of creepy elements there, and I thought the first full body reveal of the alien was great. Like,
oh yeah.
When like Zane is like looking around, he touches this like ball switch thing, and a light shines on behind him, and it's out of focus, and it's like an alien at a desk. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, alien at the desk playing solitaire or whatever the fuck. Or yeah, the alien transforms into a hot lady. Yeah, no, so it's this long sequence where he's kind of exploring. You see that the aliens are releasing like some kind of gases, like presumably it's just like hot CO2 into the atmosphere.
On out.
Yep, to try to make the Earth warmer, which by the way, watching it's really funny that there's kind of like a climate change message, but
yeah,
it's combined with this whole thing of like, oh, we're not causing climate change, it's the aliens. We're kind of like replacing a conspiracy, like we're kind of placating to a conspiracy theory, you know what I mean?
Which is, I was gonna say the same exact thing, because at the end, like the last line of the movie is that line about like, you guys don't deserve the environment, or you guys don't deserve the planet. I was like, well, you guys are the catalyst for it. You're the ones doing all the work.
It literally just reminds me of like, okay, have you heard of the podcast Story Break?
No, I've not. No.
Okay, so the whole premise of that pod, it's a good, I think you'd like it actually, is they take existing IPs or like ideas of something, and they have an hour to write a pitch for like a movie or a TV show of the thing. They've done like what would a Zelda movie look like, or like what is Rock Paper Scissors the movie. They did an episode that was a Flat Earth episode, like what is the Flat Earth movie. And they started off trying to make like an intellectual think piece about mental health and like how people are, but then they turned into like, yeah, but like what if like on the other side of the flat earth they're like vampires and they're waiting to flip the flat earth so that they can get the sun back, and like what if like the necro sun is beneath, and like they turned into this like really dumb schlocky Roland Emmerich thing. And they're just
that's
like
just this movie.
and they're like, sorry guys, we couldn't figure out something that's actually, we're just gonna make a movie that plays into it and actually causes more harm than help, which is literally this movie. Because the wrong kind of person sees this and goes, see, there isn't global warming. It's the aliens are radiating.
The aliens are causing it.
Yeah,
it's literally like Alex Jones wrote this movie.
Yeah, pretty much. Like but in the context of, like in the 90s, I'm sure. I don't know if I'm sure. I would hope that people were smart enough to realize, like, oh, this is the joke. Like, that's like the joke. And now we can look back at it. It's like satirical. One second, I'm bringing Bob in Arizona. Which one do you want? I have been brought a lemon Arizona.
This episode is brought to you by Arizona Tea and Climate Change Tea.
This episode is brought to you by Arizona. Now, if there's a company that I'd love to sponsor us, it'd be Arizona.
Can you imagine?
But Chris, that I'm thirsty. I've been talking.
Every single tea promotion that we do, like at the start of the episode, is just Arizona.
That's good shit. Honestly, I actually might start doing that because Arizona's so cheap. Fucking green tea is my favorite Arizona. What's your favorite Arizona, Jed?
Probably green tea.
Yeah, green tea's the shit. Anyway, So yeah, no. So like the fact that it's playing, I feel like, I don't know, if the wrong person saw this movie, they'd be like, "See, it's aliens." Yeah, and then for me personally, the second half of this movie is way more entertaining because this is like about the middle of the movie, and at this point, it pretty much becomes like Charlie Sheen's a fugitive running away from the aliens.
Yeah.
Type of deal, you know, like he's like the Mexican, like all the cops are aliens. He doesn't know who to trust, and like, you know, like he's on the run, and they're framing him for murdering Alana because like he ran over somebody on the drive out, and like they used her body to be like, oh, he ran her over. Oh wait, did you want to talk more about the shape-shifting scene with the body melting?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was ultimately. I thought it was pretty. It was pretty interesting, just in general, the whole shape-shifting element. It's really also like just back to like the whole face thing, just how the scene where it's like it's ripped off of Charlie Sheen, like the altered face he got.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that scene a lot too. Like it's like, sure, man, it comes off really easily, but at the same time, he's just like in pain.
Yeah, no, it's like super attached.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
It's also probably a thing where like it's not designed for, you know, the human body, you know.
Yeah.
And I read it as like it was melting because he's sweating because it's like really hot, and because it's meant for like, oh, it's supposed to be like a heat insulator for the aliens because they need to stay warm, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's melting out of it. Yeah, that's how I read it. But yeah, no. So he escapes. He escapes Mexico. And when he makes it back to JPL to go talk to his boss, Gordy, and he's wearing he's wearing the taxi driver fit.
I love the fit so much.
The fit is so good. He's got these like plastic neon sunglasses.
Before we go into that scene, can we talk a little bit about the scene where he like storms into like that TED Talk and the guy just like basically explains the plot of the movie?
Oh yeah, no, the TED Talk about terraforming Mars, and he just like foreshadows it all. Like we would heat up,
but also there's like, what is the security guard says something? I don't know why this line got me, but he's just like, "Oh, you want to be really smart and turn around and walk away." I don't know why, but it's just in like this obnoxious accent. He's like, "Okay, buddy, be smart or be real smart and get out." No reason why that just got me going. It's just like, I'm walking here. No, you're going outside.
Now you're leaving.
You're leaving.
Yeah.
So yeah, Charlie Sheen's like on drugs in every movie.
No, 100%.
But yeah, back to another scene where he's on drugs is the best scene or the best line maybe of my entire life hearing. He feels like a can of smashed assholes.
I feel like a can of smashed asshole. Or he's like, if you ever get offered to travel with, what is it, like the Mexican circus?
The Mexican circus.
Mexican carnival? Don't.
Mexican carnival.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I say no. He says something else in that line too, but I love thinking about that some guy wrote it. And just was like giggling to himself while he wrote it, because I don't know how anybody could ever think of that line in their entire life.
David Toy, I can't pronounce it. He wrote it too. He wrote it as well, yeah. So, mastermind, genius, greatest filmmaker of our time.
And he just likes smashing assholes, dude.
Denis Villeneuve, more like Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so he's comes up with his taxi driver fit, and he's trying to intimidate, and he's like interrogating Gordy, and I also love the line too, where he's like, "Are you gonna like what do you want?" And he's like, "Oh, what I want is to shoot a hole through your head and donate your body to science."
That's it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, great fucking line. But yeah, so Gordy, pretty much like drops the whole plan. Like, yeah, you guys don't deserve your planet. You're fucking it up. So we're making it warm and taking it from you. And then,
which is interesting because,
go ahead.
I mean, isn't like half the world already like warm? Like they're just doing fine on their own, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's like the hottest places are pretty much just warm enough.
Oh, okay.
Like I think it's the thing where it's like they want everywhere to be at least that warm.
That's fair. Yeah.
Type of deal, It's because they got to keep their joints limber because they got to do them big jumps. Can't be doing that
big jumps with their backwards legs.
With their backwards legs. Yeah, so like he has him at gunpoint this whole time. Like Charlie Sheen, like supposedly has guns in his pocket, and then he reveals that it's just a TV remote, and that he was recording him the whole time with a camera in the tree.
Mm-hmm. And he just like goes and walks over to the camera. He's just like, gotcha.
And Gordy just stands there, and Charlie Sheen's like, hey. Yeah.
Oh, then like this is it the assassin guy that walks over and is just like, do you want me to get him? And Gordy's like,
yeah, I think it is the assassin guy. Yeah. So Zane goes back to his house. Oh, and yeah, at some point before this, the little black hole orb thing gets thrown into Zane's attic and takes all of his gear.
So what's the point of that like orb thing? Does that serve any narrative purpose? I'm blanking on it.
Well, I mean, no, it's to destroy all of Zane's evidence.
Gotcha. But it's just like a thing, or is it like a tool?
Yeah, it's like a little black hole tool. It's like a black hole grenade.
Gotcha. For some reason, I thought it was a part of like the energy scheme. Like,
no, it's just like a little portable black hole device. A little hole. It goes. Zzz.
It's a Roomba before Roombas were cool.
You know what it reminded me the most of? The actual orb itself. It was somewhere between the orb from Guardians of the Galaxy and the Treasure Planet ball. the map from Treasure Planet.
The aesthetic actually kind of reminds me of the Treasure Planet ball now I'm thinking about it.
100%.
Like the kind of gold plated or gold line thing.
Yo. Yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking about this right now. It'd be so good. I don't know why I just thought, you know who would make a dope Treasure Planet movie? Like a live action Treasure Planet?
Who?
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would fuck hard. Like just
put Hellboy 2, The Golden Army in space.
Yeah, no, just like the troll market scene from Hellboy 2. The troll market scene, I honestly think, is like the modern day equivalent of the cantina scene from the first Star Wars. As far as like, there's just a million crazy creatures and like just makeup like on display, and it's just so like I love Hellboy 2. Or I love both those movies, but Hellboy 2 especially. We need to do a Hellboy episode.
I was gonna say like all three, like it would just go like from good to phenomenal to
the bullshit. Yeah. But yeah, no. Anyways, yeah, the orb thing takes all his shit. And then, yeah, so he runs into Kiki, and Kiki's surprised to see him. Yeah, so yeah, he runs into Char,
yeah.
Who comes by his house, and he's like, I was wondering where you were, and he starts to get paranoid, like, how did you know that I came back from? You've been here every step of the way, and he's starting to suspect that maybe she's an alien.
Yeah.
Which I forgot if she was or not. So the whole time I was like, "Fuck, is she?"
No, I thought she was too for like a good like minute or two.
Yeah.
But I'm actually kind of happy that she wasn't.
Me too. The twist of Kiki being an alien is a really good one.
Yeah, I can't get over that twist. Can we just like? Is there anything you want to jump to before we get to that?
There's really.
Wait, there's like a whole fight scene. Never mind.
There's a whole fight scene. Is there between?
Yeah, there's like the office fight scene where I think he's against the assassin. He's just like throwing shit. They're just throwing shit at.
Oh yeah, they're just throwing shit at each other at the SETI satellite. Yeah, and then all I remember from that is the assassin jumping through the roof with his backwards legs,
which was great.
Yeah, and also I do really like the scene where Charlie Sheen is like just throwing all of his conspiracy bullshit at Char, and like and he's got the screwdriver, the flathead screwdriver that he's like holding up at her.
You got it.
Yeah.
Damn, this shit could open like 2 screws in the world.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like a Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of like paranoia feel who done it. Like I definitely see this movie trying to capture some like John Carpenter type energy in that regard.
A little bit, yeah. You can also the score too. I didn't really notice the score too much, but you can definitely see a little bit of Carpenter influence there.
Yeah, I remember appreciating some of the score when I was rewatching it this time, but my sound setup in my living room, like on my main TV, is kind of rough right now. Not because I have a sound bar and it sounds okay, but the problem is the central air conditioning in our apartment. The main vent for it for the whole apartment is in the living room, and it's fucking loud. And it works, but it can be really distracting when we're trying to watch movies. So sometimes like focusing on sound could be difficult when watching here, but yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, anyway, yeah, there's that fight scene, but yeah, no, there's that twist. Like Zane and Char have to go to a different building to activate something, and basically he gives Kiki the responsibility of like, once I do this, press that transmit button. Like when you see me on the screen, hit that button. You know, and
he just stands there and he's like staring at him.
Yeah, just like with this blank stare. And Kiki just goes over to the door and lets Gordian in. And he lets Gordian in, and Gordian gives him like a little tap, Kiki a little tap on the shoulder, and you're like, no.
Genuinely surprised me.
No, he's not an alien.
Not jaw on the floor, but I was like, wow, shit. And it makes sense too, like when you give it the context of him running into the assassin and him spying on him at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. No, like it really does this. Yeah, this time I was really watching it like through the lens of knowing that he's an alien. I'm like, wow, like it does make a whole lot of sense. I look like a floating head in the dark. I'm just looking at myself on the camera. It's nighttime now. Yeah, but
what? It's Apocalypse Now.
Exactly. Wait, he does the rub. I need some water. Anyway, but fucking yeah, no, great twist. And then yeah, so they have to escape. They jump up through the middle of the satellite. There's another black hole bomb that's used. And they're yelling at Kiki, who's like out in the desert. And like you said, there's that great scene where Kiki like shifts his leg backwards and starts running away.
It's after Charlie Sheen like yelled at him and just like he's like, "Go tell your friends."
Yeah, you know,
he's like, "Go tell your friends, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell everybody you know." And Kiki's just like,
"Okay, bye." Yeah, he just has a blank expression on his face for the rest of it, and it's just really eerie.
It's honestly really great. Because he just stops becoming it's not necessarily that he becomes a different character. He just stops becoming Kiki.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I feel like it gives a little bit more, I don't know, like the like cheesy like kid sidekick character can like, I feel like in a lot of these kind of movies can come off as like people don't like them because they're kind of just so cheesy, but this gives a little bit of bounce. It's like, oh no, he's just using it as a disguise.
Do you think that he's a child alien or just a regular aged alien?
I think he's a regular aged alien just disguised as a kid, is what I think.
It's just interesting. Yeah, because I was thinking maybe because of the temperament difference, like maybe it's just like just as nervous to interact with humans. Well, not been actively around.
No, I would think that like yeah, I think that, I don't know, it's hard to tell, especially because we don't get any info whatsoever about like biologically how the aliens function. Like how old they really are, how long they've been there and shit. You know, we don't. That's another thing I wanted to tell you with this movie, or I want to talk about. The aliens never arrived. They were already here. There was no arrival.
So then what's the...
There is no the arrival. The aliens were here the whole time.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they were in Mexico already. Because they had said that like, oh yeah, no, this company popped up 20 years ago and just been buying factories. So there was no the arrival in this movie.
So then what is the arrival, like climate change or...
Yeah, the arrival of a new era. But yeah, no, then this movie ends with, yeah, like a shot of like some news station broadcasting the recording of the conversation with Gordian, which I thought this when I was watching it, and I guess the filmmakers thought this too. That recording wouldn't make a lick of fucking difference.
No.
As far people would just think it's a hoax, or people would like someone would discount it because, and the sequel treats it as such. Like I read the Wikipedia page, and it starts off with like, "Yep, everyone thought it was a hoax." The video.
Zane's like dead or something, right? You just
He's like missing. I don't know. I don't know if I will ever have enough curiosity to watch the sequel. Oh yeah, he's dead. He's found dead, according to the Wikipedia. But yeah, no.
Still can't believe this movie got a sequel.
Yeah, it's nuts. It was directed DVD starring Patrick Muldoon. It's really interesting. I don't know. I gotta look up a trailer. Based on the trailer, that's gonna determine how I feel about it. But yeah, no. So that was The Arrival. Yeah, and like, you know, it's as far as like, I just want to say my thoughts on the movie overall. I think that for me, the biggest suffering element of this movie is like, I think the first act is a bit weak, and like you said, like it does take a while to get going.
Yeah.
And like start to like really like you don't really have enough information to go on as to like where it's going to be, because like at first you can just think like you almost think it's in a contact direction, like, oh, it's just about a guy trying to listen to stars or whatever.
Yeah.
But once I feel like once you get to Mexico, the movie starts to get really interesting.
Yeah.
And you
like genuinely interesting too. Like I think that like it picks up the momentum that it needs in order to keep like the characters going or keep the plot progressing.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely needed that kick in the pants. So I agree with you there.
Yeah. I'd say my biggest, I don't even know if I call this an issue, and I don't know how. You just have to restructure the movie. For me, and this might be like super typical, just sci-fi movie thought process for me. The strongest part of this movie was when he was in like the alien base, as far as
absolutely.
I feel like somehow, I don't know necessarily how they would do it. If you went to the alien base at the beginning, because after that scene, the movie's still entertaining, but that's like the peak.
Yeah.
If somehow they had like the alien base, him entering the alien world as like the final section, because it would be like a natural kind of progression. Maybe have it like, oh, he has to sneak onto the alien base in order to send the signal kind of deal. You know, I feel like just in terms of like energy and in terms of weirdness, you'd see that, like, I don't know, kind of build over the course of the movie. Whereas like,
definitely plateaus like right in the middle, right at that spot. You get a little bit at the end with the Kiki reveal, but
yeah, the Kiki reveal is definitely like the highlight of like the whoa, that ending was crazy. Like that was a good thing to keep the end for sure. But and then yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit biased in that like I love these kind of cheesy like conspiracy type of movies. Like this is very much my bag. I definitely like understand people like not having fun or not enjoying it because because of how not seriously it takes itself. But yeah, overall it's not my favorite of this kind of movie. It has structural problems, but I enjoyed it. I think Charlie Sheen's performance, if not good, is at least very entertaining for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, what did you think?
I'm right there with you with the pacing issues. But in terms of the characters, like it's Zayn and Kiki's movie, in my opinion. Like I honestly completely forgot the names. Almost all the other.
Oh, I forgot it too. I just had it because Wikipedia's up.
It's yeah, there isn't really a lot going for it other than just being carried by a very over the top, albeit interesting performance by Charlie Sheen. And again, it's fine, he's your protagonist, but like I didn't really care about the girlfriend character. I didn't really care about, this is gonna kind of suck, but like the Alana character, like granted gets the plot going, but they're just kind of
yeah,
as unfortunately plot devices. But
they're there to get killed and to add some stakes.
Yeah,
and because they're like, we need some hot ladies in this movie.
We need some short-haired ladies that audition for Rosemary's Baby. Didn't get the role.
It's the 90s. The shorter hair, the better.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, like it's pretty standard. Like
Laura Dern was too expensive for either of those roles.
Yeah. No, it's just like a pretty standard. Like besides like the super over the top moments, which I rave about, but that I'll talk about, I'll think about for a while. It's just a pretty standard conspiracy. It combines a lot of conspiracy elements together, which are interesting. And once again, like Charlie Sheen kind of he does sell it in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty run of the mill at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, like it borrows a bunch of things from a bunch of other movies that are way better, that do it way better. But it's just kind of cool to see it come together. Yeah, definitely fun. So, I think this will be easier. This question, props. What props do you want from this movie?
Oh, easily the orb, or the face that he ripped off himself.
His face, the face, the melted face.
The melted face. I want to take his face off.
That's good. I didn't even mention not the sunglasses he wears with the taxi outfit, but his sunglasses throughout the first half of the movie.
Yeah, especially when he's going back and forth on the door-to-door salesman. He does like three or four fucking pairs.
Well, no, it's like they're so hard to describe. Wait, the Arrival, Charlie Sheen. I need to find these sunglasses because they're the most 90s. Like they have like these like guards around these.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what he's wearing. Yeah, like.
Oh, those are disgusting.
Yeah, no, He wears them throughout the first half of the whole movie, and I'm like, God damn. Like, I need them. They're the most 90s sunglasses ever. Yeah, I want those sunglasses.
Dude, that last picture to your left, that's Steven Seagal. Tell me that's not.
Yeah, for reals. Especially that one there.
Oh my god.
What a king. Yeah. But yeah, no, cool. Yeah, that's the plot for that one. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, it's getting pretty. It's 9/13 Night Movie Gang. But yeah, no, Jack, thank you so much for coming on and hanging with me, man, and talking about these films.
Yeah, no, I'm always down to watch something new. I haven't watched Arrival. I feel like we talked about Arrival over a year ago, but
yeah,
but no, these were great. I actually had a really fun time getting all this in before the show. So thank you, man. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, this episode is going to be up tomorrow for us. It's this was a tight one. Like I said, this week was supposed to be Furiosa, but then I got fucking sick when I was supposed to see it, but that's the thing. But anyway, this has been Midnight Movie Gang. You're listening to us on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music and Google Podcasts and all the other places you can listen to. We're on YouTube. YouTube's a big one. We have new animated short reviews that you can check out. You can follow us at Midnight Movie Gang on Instagram and TikTok. So check those out. Follow us, like, subscribe, tell your friends. And people out there, if you want to guest on the show and talk about your favorite hidden gem type movie, message us on Instagram, and we'll have you on. So have a nice night.
Thank you.
Bye.
So, here we go. With childish frustrations and complexes which the police are searching for James Thomas, believed to be the lover of Miss Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. Grant everybody that I'm here to hold on. Oh, please tell me where this is going. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How could I got in here? Please take us to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent.